All right. It's Monday night. You know what it is. Live open court discussion in the counselor's corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the controversial counselor. Joining me are my co-hosts. We have one at this time. Herb Lewis, the big bad wolf. Where's your howling sound, man? I'll be waiting on that. Willie A. Price speaks the truth.
I'm here to do it. What's up, fellas?
What's going on? And,
soon you look like he's on blackout mode.
Where's our Christine?
It's the unflappable Christine Brooks.
What happened to our girl, Lakia?
I don't know. Can't worry about the show.
I saw a couple weeks ago at the mall. I was cruising through Yankee Candles.
You saw her there?
Y'all go.
Yes, he said.
Y'all gonna let me get through the introduction. Y'all go.
Oh, my bad.
Y'all got plenty of time to run your mouths. All right. This past Monday, we had an insightful conversation with the leadoff topic, son's husband. Yeah, I know what that is. Some of y'all still in denial about it, but we know it's happening. And every day, you experience that in some shape or form. And the impact it has on man. Well, tonight, November 8th, we have a carryover topic from last week's Beauty Distorted. Our Native Black American males driving Native Black American women weight issues. So we already know it's going to be some sensitivity with this. Anytime you talk about weight and you talk about Black females, it's going to be some issues. And we expect that. And again, like I said, we want all the smoke. So here you have it. All right. So that's that. I know this will ruffle many feathers, but ask me if I care. Nope, I don't. Now let's take a look at the other three essential talking points. Number one, why do some women want shit done without no excuses, but when men want something done, here comes all the excuses? Anybody got any answers for that? I know what many of you will say, that's not the case. Not all. But if you come in here talking not all, I'm going to roast you. I'm telling you now. Again, I'm going to say it again as a disclaimer. I don't deal with the absolutes. And number two, would you consider a polyamory relationship if your mate suggested it? Something to think about. Number three, how has the pandemic affected your relationships? Friend-wise, family, and partners. So as you can see, we have another diverse and dynamic agenda for tonight. Please like and share our video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. If you're a regular on here, please invite someone new to the Counselor's Corner so we can continue to grow this thing. All right, so I'm about to let the unflappable Christine Brooks in. Hello, Christine.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Hello, lovely.
So, how's everybody doing? What's going on? What's new? We always start with that. Any housekeeping news or anything you want to share to the world?
Well, I was reminded that I was, what was I reminded? Oh, I was reminded that I had a lot of Black women upset with me.
What you do now?
I was going to say, what you do now?
I went to my old neighborhood and I was just riding around. I ran into some friends, and one of the young ladies brought up the fact that
somebody start throwing eggs in.
Posted videos on degrading Black women.
You did?
Not videos, posts. I was putting up posts degrading Black women. That I was degrading Black women because I said that stretch pants aren't meant for everybody, and bonnets shouldn't be worn outside. You know, the stuff I was posting. And so,
well, first of all, Black women aren't the only ones that wear stretch pants when they shouldn't.
well, that's true.
Start there.
That's true. But, you know, of course, anytime I say something, it's automatically taken that it's applied to Black women. It's not, you know, even though that's what I said was stretch pants, you know, are made for everybody. Of course, that's only applied to Black women when I say it. So that was the confrontation. I know. That's what they said, too. You were dogging Black women. Really? I know. Okay.
After you were putting up the acknowledging all the beautiful Black women.
Beautiful Black women.
And they still were saying that?
Still.
Wow.
I guess they figured I was putting that up to save faith, but I've been doing that for 7 years. I've been doing those posts for 7 years. On every October I do that. I've been doing it for the last 7 years. So, you know, but of course they overlooked all that because I hate Black women. So how dare I do that? I had a couple people actually tell me to take their picture off.
Dang.
Yeah. And one girl reached all the way from Atlanta. I didn't know she had moved to Atlanta either. And she contacted me all the way from Atlanta. I would like for you to take my picture off. And then I had a young lady, local young lady. I want you to take my picture. Oh, okay, no problem. So I put up a post asking, hey, if you don't want your picture up, let me know. I wasn't offended. You know, I wasn't offended. Hey, cool. I'll take it down.
So petty. That
was the third time I've ever had that happen, though. I told y'all the first time was the stalker. She had me take her picture down.
Oh, the good old stalker.
Yeah. I think she must have watched the show because she and somebody else told me they think she watched the show too because I haven't seen or heard from her since I mentioned her a couple of weeks about a month ago when I talked about it on the show.
Yeah, you didn't mess up, Willie, because I think hold up. I think you get a rise out of that, and you need that. So for her not to contact you, like, what the hell is going on, man?
No, I figured it out, but you know, it is weird.
What's going on?
Because I was kind of getting used to, you know what I mean? After 3 years, you kind of get used to every 3 to 6 months somebody popping up, and it becomes a habit. But I can do without it. I can get over that one.
All right. Anybody else?
Yes, I'm angry at the world today.
Why is that?
What you do?
I'm doing that stupid challenge with you.
So explain, Willie, the challenge, because I know some people are talking about, okay, I need to lose weight. The holidays is coming up. So what can people not have in this challenge?
Well,
anything good. You can't have anything good.
No burgers, no soda, no chips, no ice cream, no fast food, no chocolate, no white bread, no cakes or donuts, and no cookies or candy for 14 days.
I just want to hibernate for the next 14 days.
Why? And you know what's really funny about it? When I looked at this list, the only thing that I had to cut out was the cookies and the candy, which was my Heath Bar cookies and Butterfinger candy. Everything else I don't eat.
It's bread and chips for me.
I cut out bread. Like, well, you can have wheat bread. You just can't have the white bread.
I don't want it.
I know you don't. You craving that white stuff. That's why it says no white sugar without.
I actually normally eat oat bran bread, but still. So I just haven't been eating any bread.
As long as it doesn't have any white flour, you know, anything white, the white sugar, that kind of stuff. But
and then
it's really good for you. And like I said,
then chips are pretty serious.
Really? I haven't had chips in.
But because I can't, and I don't overdo it with either one of those things, but not being able to have them, I want everything on that list.
Yeah,
I want
exactly what happens.
Everything on that list, and
that's what happens.
No one in my household drinks soda, but for some strange reason, there's a soda in there. And every time I open the refrigerator, it's like it's calling my name.
Throw it out.
It's awful. That's what I'm going to have to do. I was scared to
That's
touch
what
it.
happens.
I was
This
afraid
happens,
the top would
you
pop
start
off.
thinking about all the stuff. You start thinking about all the stuff that you see now that you want before you weren't even thinking about it.
Wasn't even thinking about it. Now I want it all.
Yeah. See, that's one of my things. Whatever, chips, whatever. Like late at night, I could eat some. I would crush some chips, whatever. But I've been staying away from that, whatever. Yeah, I can eat some
chips. I haven't had chips in almost a year. I do eat ice cream every now and then, but not even that often. I like butter pecan, but I haven't had ice cream in months.
I don't eat candy. I'm craving that. This is awful.
And it's only day one.
It is. It's day one. I can't remember people's names. It's awful.
He'll be fine by next week. You'll be all right.
All right. Big Bad Wolf, what's good with you? Winning tournaments in PA?
Yeah, man. You know what? We won with our 11U. We lost with our 13U. So there's some work to be done with the 13U. But we just put that squad together. So we got to get back to the X's and O's, and we got to get a few other things covered. I tell you, boy, I never used to have a problem with night driving. For some odd reason, I don't know, maybe it's just my deterioration of my vision or whatever the case is, but it was just like, this was just a different animal driving at night. Maybe it's because of the fatigue level, because Saturday I had a real successful charter night with my Niagara Falls Community Alliance, and I want to give a big shout out and acknowledgement to all those people that attended the event and supported us. We were overwhelmed and overfilled with the joy, and we've endured a lot, to put that organization together and to keep it together during COVID. So this is our big welcome to the world, and the world welcomed us with open arms, and we are forever grateful, especially to our guiding lions, Tom and Jeremy. Big personal shout out to them, and a huge thank you to Tom for assisting me as our treasurer, and hopefully I will continue to fulfill the duties and obligations that members have bestowed upon me. But that, man, is, like I said, a combination of being fatigued and driving this, and then the lines just being so poorly painted. And then I never realized how poorly illuminated the highway system is when it comes to just the lights. It was just like, this is just different, man. So, thank the powers that be, everybody. It was a success all the way around. Nobody got hurt. Nobody was left behind. No serious injuries. We made it there. We made it back. Thanks to all our staff of the elite basketball family, the Western New York Wolves, and all the kids and their participation. Pardon me. It continues success to everybody. So, that, and then getting back home to find out my Cowboys have been rolled by a bunch of Broncos. I'm thinking, isn't that the inverse? Aren't Cowboys supposed to ride Broncos? So that was it was just like, what's going on? Because I couldn't watch the game because I was at the tournament. So I checked the app and I'm just like, 13-0. I'm like, all right, they're sluggers. Then I'm like, oh no, this can't be happening. This is just a weird parallel universe where a team that's ascended like the Cowboys get beat up. I'm beat up. Final score was 27-16, but that was not indicative of the game. So, that's just what it was, a weekend in a nutshell, I suppose. But yeah, man. To what Christina's saying, I had that challenge with somebody before a couple of times, and I always tell people I have 3 vices in life: women, junk food, and video games, or video games as it was when I was a kid. I love them. There's 2 of them that I can walk away from without batting an eye, and most people get them wrong as in terms of which ones I can't walk away from and which ones I struggle to walk away from. And I always say it's never the women, it's never the video games, it's always the junk food, because I love me some Doritos. That's my calling card. Doritos, and they can attest to this one. At the Sip and Dip, man, the Doritos,
Oh yeah. My sister was getting on you about that.
Man, if they mess up that
I had a
supply
ring on the
chain with them Doritos, ooh.
Yeah, it's gonna be somebody's got to answer something, man. So I'm with you, but soda, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Johnny Ryan fan only because they have the cane sugar in it and not necessarily the high fructose corn syrup. But I can leave that and walk away because I'll use lemon and limes and I'll just put them in water and just drink that
I
and
don't
get
even
some
drink
raw
soda.
honey
It's just that I
and I'm
can't have
good.
the other stuff that makes me want everything that I can't have because I can't have the few things that I like so much.
So you should have did like me and just stocked up on it yesterday, ate everything yesterday.
I did that.
You Sherman clumped that thing, right?
I was doing everything yesterday and Saturday. I was eating cookies and my Butterfingers. My stomach started hurting. I was eating so many Butterfingers, my stomach started hurting.
All right, we're gonna get to the meat and potatoes.
All right,
of everything.
Into business. All right.
Yeah. Beauty Distorted.
Oh Lord.
About the Native Black American males driving Native Black American women's weight issues. Talk to us about
what does that mean?
Herb, talk to us about it.
I was gonna say, you know what? I always know which of these topics belong to Herb. So I knew this one was a Herb.
Herb, yeah. Right. I'm like, what do you mean driving Herb?
Let me explain this for I don't know how many times. All right. Dr. Claude Anderson, if you don't know who he is, look him up on YouTube, please. All right. We need to not only listen to this gentleman, but we need to celebrate him while he's still alive. He has a wealth of information that would benefit anybody, but particularly Native Black Americans. Now, he coined the phrase. And when I first heard it, I thought, why do we need another phrase to describe us? But when he broke it down, as follows. He said, we are the only group of people in this world to survive chattel slavery in the manner that we did, to come through it and to exist in the manner that we do. Slavery, Black American slavery is studied through the world, especially what happened in Haiti. Haiti is the only successful slave revolt ever. Keep that in mind, people. So when he described that, he said, for us to overcome that, or for our ancestors to overcome that, that makes us an exceptional people. For us to endure, even though we're fractured in some regards, to the way we are, and we're still able to function, that is an exceptional feat. So, and if you look anywhere else in the world, you don't find us, our culture, in any other country, even in Canada, because Canada, they have their variances. But we are the epicenter of what is considered Black. Because if you go to Africa, they don't consider themselves Black. Mm-hmm. They consider themselves to belong to tribes. Mm-hmm. Their culture is different. The way they behave is different. Their mores, everything about them is different from what we are. When they come here, they do not identify as Black unless they can get something. They identify with their tribe or with their country of origin. So when he broke that down, I wholeheartedly agree with him, and I adopted that mantra. So when you hear that, it's just speaking of Black people who ancestry can be traced back to the slave plantations in the South. Okay, so I want everybody to understand that intrinsically. So when you hear me use that term, and I'll abbreviate it, NBA, for those basketball heads out there, it's simple. National Basketball Association, Native Black Americans. All right, that's the euphemism I use. Hopefully, it works for some of you. I believe in teaching as well as being taught.
Let me throw something in there, and I had a mediation today between two girls that's from Africa, and I'm sitting there listening to them, and I'm thinking like, excuse my language, people. I'm like, y'all little motherfuckers getting out of pocket. Like y'all know if I call y'all parents, it's gonna be done because y'all caught up in this social media craze. Y'all now y'all Americanized over here and acting up, and they were like, well, no, you know, you were going back, you called me an African booty scratcher, and then it's like, well, you called me what? And I'm like, I'm sitting there like, really? This old ass girl coming out like, are y'all serious? This old
booty scratcher.
And she was like, you called me one, but you act like you're not from Africa or whatever the case is. And I wanted to say, get the hell out of my office for real.
Holy cow. African booty scratcher.
Whatever that means.
And believe it or not, that is a real source of contention.
Wow.
It's a real source of contention with them. So I would advise people, you know, that's derogatory. Don't use the term. It's
that's like obvious. That's
I think last year. But you hold on, but the thing about it is, so it's nigga. But how often do you see people use the term?
All the time now.
It's gotten to the point where it's become so commonplace that some people don't bat an eye with it. David and I last year, I believe, we did a show on that.
Mm-hmm.
And the term is so ubiquitous in our culture that we have white people saying it as if it's okay, and it isn't.
Nobody can call
But
me
in
that.
order for us to tell them that it isn't okay, we have to take the mantle and the mantra and say, yo, we're not going to use it. We want y'all to stop using it. So that means, and the funny thing about it was, I remember David and I talking about unfriended people that used it. Now, the irony of that was I unfriended two females. I believe both of them had Asian ancestry, and they had biracial children, multicultural children. Both of them were Native Black American sons. And I'm thinking, how do you teach them to be sensitive to part of their ethnicity if you're using that term? How are they to react when somebody else uses that term toward them, but they mean to denigrate them? So that's why I encourage people. That's why you very seldomly, if ever, go ahead, Christine.
I'm sorry. I know the seriousness of what you're discussing right now, but I'm still wondering what the whole thing with the weight.
I knew it.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I'll get into that in a moment. I just
hurry up, man.
They want that now. They want that now. They don't want the history. They don't want
no Black History class.
Yeah.
This ain't no Black History class.
and I'm so serious. I'm not trying to diminish the importance of what you're saying.
How her native
blackness I understand. I'll get there.
Affected by weight.
So I'm in the sports talk group, ITT, and Intelligent Trash Talk. Shout out to Ken Badger for putting the group together. There's over 1,000 heads strong, and I think I'm one of the older people in there, along with Dave, Eric Gore. Shout out to the Lacell Explorers basketball front. And they posted this picture of a woman. I don't know who the woman was. I believe she's in the mid-30s, and she's a little heavier. And they were all ranting and raving and gloating about how attractive she was. Now, physically, yes, in the face, she's attractive, but I'm looking at her body, I'm saying, you know, she's in that category of being overweight. Now, I believe she didn't have any children. I don't know about that. I expressed that. And now, mind you, I date heavier women, but these women tend to be in their mid to late 40s, early 40s, maybe late 30s, and they've had 1 or 2 children, which generally leads to weight gain. But if you're a woman in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're overweight or heavy or into that category that's bordering on obese and you haven't had kids, do you have to look at, then I looked at it as saying, if she has kids, she's going to be in trouble of having cardiovascular diseases. This is what David weight loss is focused on, and what you do in the morning, Willie, focuses on is being better you, health-wise. Because I said if she was to be sent to her doctor would advise her, hey, look, you're going to have to start to lose weight because a lot of Native Black American women, weight issues are starting to translate into earlier death, cardiovascular, heart attacks, strokes. All those things are on the rise, and our diets don't lend itself to that. Now they were accusing me of being crazy. They said you're digging too deep into this. I said, look, I'll be 50 next month. I'm always health conscious. I'm always focused on trying to lose weight. About 10 years ago, I looked like I was 6 months pregnant. I have a picture, and I'll post it sometime, of me in Central Park. I looked like I was pregnant. Okay? So I tell people, I said, this is not something that I'm just poking with people with. I'm like, this is serious. And when we look at what Black men consider thick, it's usually a plus-size woman in her mid-20s to her mid-30s who has additional weight that's settled in places that they like. And because it's settled in places that they like, it's okay. And I'm thinking, brothers, we have to stop acknowledging that women who are physically unhealthy are as attractive as slimmer women. Because if we look at our childhood pictures, our parents' pictures, we never saw anybody that was bigger than a size 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody can go back and look at any childhood pictures of their parents and find somebody that's a plus size 8. Let me know. Send me that picture and I'll cash up you a few dollars. Because it just doesn't exist.
Now I'm looking at the faces.
Only people who were that heavy were Graham.
I'm looking at the faces of Christine and Willie. But what I do want to add to this, because I did a post with this young lady, and she was she was thick, whatever. She wasn't bad looking to me. I had no problems with her. But in this other group, I think it was the Kevin Samuels group or something, they were like, yo, dog, we need to quit pushing this narrative of these women because they're thick, they're fine. Like if she had, like what Herb was saying, like if she has kids, that's gonna be added weight, and sooner or later, it's gonna get out. It's gonna get out of control. And I'm thinking, like, I guess I never really thought about it like that. And I'm like, wow. So as we often say, it's bigger than what you're used to talking to, what the world is talking about outside of your circle. So I never even looked at it like, okay, she's 20 something or 30. Now she decides to have kids. And if she has a couple kids, she may balloon up to this weight, and it may be issues for men. It may be issues. So carry on. I just wanted to add that little tidbit.
Yeah, so a lot of people think this is, that. Go ahead, Willie. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I kind of agree with what you said too, Dave. And I heard I do understand what you're talking about. I don't understand. I kind of understand what you mean by the men feeding into it, because like you said, when they don't have kids, or if they may have had a kid but they're thick, they encourage that. They talk about how fine she is, she got nice, hips or whatever. But as time goes on, they start to fill in everywhere else. And so as a result of that, what you find is that a lot of women, and especially younger women, when they're like that, a lot of women who are like thick like that, a lot of them don't work out. So when they do have a kid, a child or children, because they're not working out and they haven't been used to working out, they basically don't do anything to adjust, to try to bring that weight back down, or they don't know what to do to bring that weight back down. And so they still try to dress up and fit into a lot of the same clothes they used to fit into, because they were told they look sexy in it or whatever. Huh? Yeah. Stretch pants. And I told you stretch pants only stretch so far, but we ain't gonna get into that subject. Yeah, I keep getting in trouble about that one. But it's true though, because they made these stretch jeans now. It used to be the stretch pants, but now they made the stretch jeans. So you have them where they can stretch and get into these clothing, right? And it pulls everything together, and they look good. But,
so they make those flex jeans and stuff for men. I buy the flex jeans, but when I first put them on, I'd be like, man, these jeans tight as hell. But but yeah, but throughout the day, I like, okay, they loose it, whatever. But like, man, what the hell are they bought? I don't want those skinny jeans, whatever. But
they're shape holders. They're shape holders. And they created those for people who don't want to wear tights all the time, spandex all the time. They created these jeans and things that look like that, right? So that way, I must have talked her up. And so that's what you end up having. But the thing is, I do my show. I started doing my show literally, I want to say about 7-8 years ago, and it was because I was 260 pounds, and I couldn't. I kept going on and coming off of it, and I looked like I was pregnant. I looked horrible. But the thing was, I couldn't stay consistent with it, and I started working out online so that way people would hold me accountable for doing the workouts. And so that's what really motivated me to do the workouts and try to encourage other people. But I look at young women and young men, being in the schools and going up on college campuses. And I'm seeing these young men and young women, especially young men, young black men and young black women. And some of them are big. And for them to only be 18, 19, 20 years old and to be that big at that age, you can only imagine the health problems and the weight problems and the different issues they're going to have as they get older if they don't do anything about it. And they don't make it where you do anything about it now. They're playing games. There's no real exercise. Yeah, very few people that's exercise conscious. And so they sit at home, they play video games, and they hang out, and they go out to the club and they dance. And the dancing that they do, I remember we used to dance and work up a sweat. That would be a workout. You go to the club and hang out with your friends and dance with a girl, and that'll be a workout. The stuff they do now, that's not dancing. You know what I mean? It's not a workout. They do whatever they do. I don't even know what the hell they be doing half the time.
And Lord knows them P-Funk Funkadelic records, that was a workout. They were 15 minutes long.
Yeah, and you'd be working out and dancing to come out. You didn't need to go to the gym because your everything was worked off. But now these kids, they don't do anything that really exerts them, and they're not trying to do anything that exerts them or crazy, where they're going to lose weight because they're not thinking about that.
So I do agree with Herb on this topic. Especially like being skinny when I was young, and guys like the thick girls, and but then, okay, fast forward all that. And I used to want to be thick. Thank God it didn't work for me. But the end result is, I think it's natural for us as women to try to be what we think men like, So it kind of starts us down that path. You want to be thick. If you are thick, you don't think of it as being unhealthy because you're not exercising, you're not active, but at that point, your metabolism is naturally at a point that is just maintaining that nice thick weight. But then, like you all said,
once you get older,
you have children and things change. Your lifestyle changes. Even if you were somewhat active, it slows down because you've got kids to tend to. You may not have that time and attention to do activities that you might have done that might have helped keep your weight in check. But I think you're right. I think to a degree, we can say that men are driving Black women's weight issues to a degree. I think societal wise, I think all of that plays into it, but that's definitely an aspect of it.
Lakia, how you doing?
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get all my audio right before I came on. How's everybody doing?
Doing well,
Can
lady.
you hear me okay? Because I can't hear me.
I can hear you. We can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
You're fine.
Did I talk you
my
up,
hair
Lakia?
done.
Because I sure asked about you.
Say it again.
I said I talked you up, huh? Because I just asked about you.
I was getting my hair done. Last Monday, I was on a hiatus. The other, it's just been busy. It's been crazy busy, but I was like, I gotta hop on. I got the dog in the car, so you might hear him mad because he doesn't like to be in the car. So forgive him for his noises. My little pit bull. Say hi. Say hi. He don't like
can't
me.
see him.
He don't like to be in. But anyway, I'm glad to be back for a second. I'm on the road, as you can see, always crazy busy, but I enjoyed the conversation. I was listening in on about the N-word. I'm horrible with it, so it is what it is. I know I say it all the time, but I don't like the fact that her talk about. I mean, I get it. We talk about obesity with women, but men are just as obese. I don't get why is this because of women with children. I have 6. I don't look like I have 6 kids. That's not always the case. Am I?
But you were also an athlete, so you know about taking care of your body and trying to keep yourself somewhat healthy. That's a big difference. You were a track and field athlete.
I think that's the thing right there. This to me is not about just beating up on Black women about being heavy. It is about addressing health issues, about how we get there. How are we getting there? How is it? Look here, like you said, you've got 6 kids, I got 6 kids. People wouldn't think we have 6 kids, but we run into somebody 25 and 30 years old and they're way bigger than we are and they haven't even had kids. So how do we get there and how do we curtail that? And part of it is this notion that if you're thick, you're fine. It's like Herb said, well, yes, as we get older, yes, we do get thicker. Our metabolism has slowed down. Not everybody. Some people are able to. I mean, Jada Pinkett's mother is a freak of nature. I wish I did look like that. But
she looks beautiful.
But that's not the norm for most of us who have had children. But for someone much younger, how do we re-educate not just them, but the men that are telling them, yay, you're thick,
Right.
And but I think it's I beg to differ. Like I believe men like women, thick women. I do.
Well, that's what they said.
Yeah, they do. But
and that's the thing. They're encouraging
you're thick, and then you've got women trying to be thicker, and then suddenly they get to a certain age and they can't control that thickness. Thick becomes unhealthy, and now you have health issues. Now you're looking at diabetes. Now you're looking at cardiovascular issues.
So one of the things that some of the guys said about that, they was like, when I posted the picture of the thick woman, they was like, yeah, she's thick to smash. Most men would smash her, but they're not going to make her wifey or the one that's going to have kids by me, whatever, because she's already too big. So imagine a couple babies coming out of there. And I guess I never, again, that's why I say the importance of these conversations, because I guess I never looked at it like that. Like, let me pick and see. Oh, how much you weigh now? If you had a kid, you're going to weigh this much, and I'm not going to want you anymore, or whatever the case is. But that's basically what they were saying. Like, you got to pick and choose the right ones. We got a couple new people.
And a lot, that's a lot. That's not to say that heavier women are not wanted. I see heavier women getting married on a daily basis. So that's not the issue. Again, we are talking about health issues that come with that. And then there's this like Lynette Patterson is saying here, some weight issues are hereditary. It's a lot fewer than we like to admit. It's usually dietary, not hereditary. The same, those same recipes your grandma passed down are the same ones making you all have diabetes all through life. And instead of thinking, let's change the diet, everybody is like, well, I'm gonna get it. My mother had it. My grandmother had it. My great grandmother had it. We all ate the same thing all these generations.
It's true.
Yeah. And health isn't.
I just want to focus on
in our communities, and that's why I went to a meeting actually this morning, and that was one of the discussions in the meeting that I went to was bringing more awareness to the Black community about fruit and vegetables and healthy eating, and that's because of what you see going on right now. You know, you have most Black families very rarely have a lot of vegetables in their meal plan. They're eating McDonald's, Burger King, pizza. You know what I mean? Everything is white. You know, potatoes, rice. You know, all those starches and all those kind of things, and they don't really have a healthy, you know, pizza rolls and all these kind of things that, you know, saturated in fat. And as a result of that, as you get older, that stuff just tears your body up, and your body can only, like you said, your oh God, I can't even think of the word. Metabolism. Your metabolism starts to slow down, so it doesn't burn it off like it used to. And as you get older, the more, and I talk about it on my show in the morning, I talk about gravity. We don't think about gravity, but if you really think, what does gravity do? It pulls everything down. So where we used to stand and our stomachs would, you know, be nice and tight, but as we get older, gravity starts to pull our stomachs down. So it's sitting on the bottom of our stomach, on the bottom of our pants. That's men and women. And a lot of that is because our metabolism has slowed down. We're not doing the same things we used to do. And as a result of that, gravity pulls everything down. So everything starts to hang. Everything starts to sag. Everything starts to, you know, lose its shape. And because we're not doing anything to help it to stay in shape, we end up with the problems that we have. Things that sit in our stomach, it starts to rot, and then we end up having all these issues with health and everything else because that's rotted food sitting in the bottom of our stomach because we don't have any vegetables in there. We don't have anything any roughage in there to get those things out because we don't eat. A lot of our people don't eat the vegetables and things. If we do, they saturate it with bacon and, you know, got to cook with some bacon, or we got to put some grease and some oil in it, or whatever the case may be. So then we make it unhealthy.
Season it with some fat back.
There you go. Yeah. You know, we got to throw something in there that we call it give it some flavor, but we really taken away from what the health benefits of what we're supposed to be doing with it.
I got two things. Willie, I don't do it when you do it. Sir. I usually go back and do your workout. Yo, dude, that bending over, that gravity stuff. Yeah, I can't touch my toes and all that stuff.
Do you see how that works though? You see how when I first bent down, I can't touch the floor.
Yeah, I do see that.
And all of a sudden, gravity eventually pulls you down, and next thing you know, my hands are on the floor. But when I first go to bend down, I'm like almost a half a foot from the floor, and that's gravity. That's what gravity does.
True. Now we got the chaotic.
I do agree. Real love means you. Lynette says, "Real love means you and your man can work out together and maintain that weight," and I agree. And it even goes deeper than that. You and that man both need to be focused on weight because they get weight. I mean, they get health issues too as they get older. Again, to me, this is not about just pointing at women and saying, you know, Black women are fat and unhealthy. I don't buy into that anyway.
This is a discussion we need to have, you know, encouraging each other to be healthy and work out together.
Health should be a priority in relationship.
Like I said earlier, though, I said a lot of women, because they don't work out when they're younger, and it's really hard to get them to work out when they get older. You know, it's really hard for
And
some
men
women
too.
to work out unless, huh?
I said,
I didn't hear you.
and men too. I mean,
Yeah.
I've kind of like you have said,
yeah.
Willie, before about can she even go for a walk? I've dated men
Right.
and it's been like, can we go for a walk?
Can't walk.
Well, you know, I don't have tennis shoes. Well,
Yeah.
you know, just all kind of
Every
every
excuse.
excuse in the book. And
Walking your
the
truck
last
is moving. Hold on, people, because we got a new person on here. I always like them to come in and get their feedback. So the chaotic truth, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing awesome. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Welcome. Thanks for joining the Counselor's Corner. We definitely want to hear what you got to say.
Really? So I can have a panel real quick, huh?
Yeah, you
Well,
can.
I want to start off first by saying hello to everybody on the panel. And I want to say I just randomly happened to see your video. I don't know why it came up on my feed, but I saw the title. I saw the topic, and it says, "Are Black men responsible for the weight epidemic in the Black community, especially amongst Black women?" And before I get into the topic, sir, I gotta say, this is a divine topic. You're prophetic with that topic. And you're prophetic because a lot of people aren't talking about this. Listen, I'm not that old, but I'm not that young. I just turned 37. And I remember in the 90s when I was a kid and a teenager, man, I went to inner city schools, I went to suburban schools, and I went to private schools. Black girls had beautiful bodies. The Black women, older women, that I knew had nice bodies. The women in the music videos had nice bodies. The actresses had nice bodies. Occasionally, you will see a big girl in school. Occasionally, you will see a big sloppy girl in the neighborhood. What happened, and this goes with your title, is you are correct. Somewhere, and I think it happened with that chick Takara. I can't remember her name. But around the year 2000, 2001, a lot of Black men started saying, I like a thick, I don't want to cuss over here. I don't know how your channel is.
Oh, you can cuss, man.
Keep it real, say, I want a thick bitch. And so that's when a lot of Black women, to me, started to get fat. And not just fat, but morbidly obese. Black men, in my opinion, are absolutely, without a doubt, responsible because remember, a Black woman is only going to, a Black woman generally would cater to what the needs of the Black man is. That's how women generally are. So if women want to cater to a man, and if all the men are saying, I like you thick, baby, I like you with a fat ass, well, of course a woman wants to get a fat ass. I used to get looked upon as being weird. Even now, people think that I'm weird because I like a chick that's built like Naomi Campbell from the 90s. I like a model-looking bitch. A 5'9", 5. I'm short. I like a tall bitch. I ain't gonna lie. All I do is talk to tall women. And the thing is that Black men, and this is what I say when I was teaching. I don't teach anymore. I taught for over 10 years. When I was teaching, my fraternity brothers, I tell them this. You have to set a high standard for our community. And being overweight is not a high standard. I don't care how much you're into that fetish shit. It's not. You need to pick a thin, beautiful woman. The only big Black women I remember back in the 90s were old Black women who earned the right to be big. I mean, these women were 75 and over. Yeah, of course you could be big at that age. But I remember I'm not that old, but I remember those photo albums. You go to your aunt's house, you get these big ass photo albums. You go through the photo albums. I didn't see any. My family members weren't big back in the day. Now when they got older, yeah, my grandmother, she died. She gained some weight. Well, she wasn't fat though, but she was way bigger than what she previously was. She was about 120, 135 pounds. But then when she got older, she just gained weight. But the fact of the matter is that the Black man must set a high standard. And let's be completely honest. A chick who looks like a model, well, to me, will always look better than any thick chick. Oh, by the way, let me tell you something before I get done. Thank you for letting me talk. Many years ago when I was teaching, I had a colleague of mine. She was an overweight Black chick, but she was real cool. She invited me to her birthday party. Her two big-ass cousins came to her birthday party.
Big-ass cousins.
Her cousins said this, and I won't forget it. They said, how come this nigga ain't talking to us? My colleague said, now these are her cousins. He don't like talking to big bitches. These two big girls who I didn't even know walked over to me and said, "You don't like no thick bitch." I said, "Absolutely not, ma'am. I believe it or not, I'm a black man who sets a standard. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with you. It's just that I don't want to be with you." So yeah, thank you for letting me talk for a minute. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on, brother. And
to follow his comment. Yes, and to follow his comment, I want to read something that was posted earlier by Raquel Martinez. She says, "I was 185 pounds when I met my boyfriend. I'm 240 now, 8 years later after baby. He's willing to help me get back. Pretty sure he's going if I don't." Now, I also want to follow that with something that Lakia said. Men, for the most part, women's primary attraction to him is not necessarily his physical presence. We see that with Biggie Smalls. Biggie was a heavier guy. Women loved him. Not because he looked good, because even in the song he said it.
Nah.
It was the money.
No.
If a man can provide provision, those two specifically, women will flock them. We see that with Rick Ross. Now you have an element of women who are physically attracted to men and they want that physical attraction first. This is why you have some women who will opt to have a man. It's the little joke that goes around. A woman wants 3 men: a man that she's physically attracted to, a man that can pay for it, and one who doesn't know. That's a little joke that runs around in certain circles. So that's not to say that some men don't date heavier women. That's not to say that some heavier women aren't attractive. That's not to say that women with a medical issue who's gained weight is on the same plane. Everybody fits a mold. But what we're seeing now is an epidemic of younger women who are heavier because they don't work out. Think about what we've been told as kids. Get home, get out your school clothes, get your homework done, and go outside and play.
Go outside and play.
These kids are not taught that. Hopscotch.
No.
You know, now honestly, one of the things about that is it's not as safe as it was in our own neighborhoods to go outside and play.
Yeah, that's true. It is definitely a security issue out there now.
So it's like, as a parent, you have to do other things to mitigate that, like putting them in sports, or putting your kids.
And a lot of parents don't do it. A lot of parents don't do it, and they use the excuse that they don't have the money to do it. Because remember, when we were growing up, you didn't need money to play sports. You, like you said, you go outside and play. You play with your friends. You play kickball in the sport. You know, we played dodgeball. We did all kind of activities that didn't require us to have to pay a dime to go do it. That's why we were able to go do it. But now and that's what I was. I'm in this group called Project Play, which is through the Ralph Wilson Foundation. And one of the things they talk about is how sports have been used as to price kids out of activities, because any real sports that kids want to participate in, they make it so expensive that urban kids really can't afford it. You know, if you want your kids to play little league football, it costs you a lot of money. You want to play soccer, you got to have all this money. You play softball, baseball, any sport, you have to have a lot of money to pay for all the equipment. The only sport, and that's why I do a track program. I do a track and field program, because it doesn't require for these kids to have anything other than a pair of sneakers and some shorts. And they don't have to have shorts, so that's why I do the program that I do. But in Project Play, they talk about how sports have been used as a way of pricing kids out of activities, and that contributes to the urban obesity problem, because a lot of times the parents can't afford. A lot of times the parents cannot afford to put these kids into these programs, especially in the inner city. And so you end up having that problem where, things happen and the kids become obese, and they're not being encouraged to go outside and play. They don't play kickball anymore. They don't play, football and go up in the park. We used to go to the park and play football, tackle football in the park, and nobody had the equipment. We was out there playing tackle football like it was nothing.
Right.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So those are the things we did, and it didn't require us to have any. We didn't have to have any money to play, but now everything requires you to have some kind of money, some kind of fee, some type of way that you're being charged. And parents with 2 and 3 and 4 kids, of course, they're not going to be able to afford those activities.
Say, go ahead, David.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, good evening, Brother David. Salute, Willie, Miss Christine, my man, Big Bad Wolf, Herb. To the gentleman to my right, I can't remember your name, but salute. You made some hell of a points. I want to go on. I gotta holler, jump on my man Willie real quick. Nah, brother, because the game bangers of the 70s and 80s, weren't out of shape. They weren't all playing organized sports, is what you're referring to, and they are generally in shape. Now, that's an extreme example. They were more active. And the problem is nowadays that kids aren't active. And I will tell you who are raising these kids, but I'm going to get back to the main topic. But I just want to say this also. I have a cousin, and respect to that program you mentioned, a lot of these sports have been incentivized to, I shouldn't say incentivized, they've basically put a lot of fees into it where your average kid can't come into it, but that has nothing to do with the kid. What is that? Anyway, that has nothing to do with the kid.
Who got that feedback? I got to turn it down.
Okay. So that has nothing to do with the kid staying in shape. Typically, when you're younger, your metabolism is so high for you to become overweight. Your parents are clearly at fault. This country, I know people can't stand America, Triple K, and all this other stuff. We have fucking fat, poor people. Damn it. I mean, we have fat, poor people. Mm-hmm. How does that happen in any other place? And if you've been abroad, you recognize this. Now, I can get into the sports thing. I was going to talk about my cousin's baseball program where he's got 3 guys in AA, got a couple guys scholarships. A lot of kids here subsidize those things by like selling various things. Now, they can't sometimes participate in the various tournaments, but they can still work on their craft. Let's get back to the original topic. And some young lady that was up here, I'm sorry, no, that was you, Christine. Can we stop with the replies of men do it too whenever a point is made?
That wasn't a tit for tat. That was about the fact that most people should be incorporated in caring about their health.
You are absolutely correct in that there are more out of shape men than there should be nowadays, but it is still nowhere near in proportion to what the women is. The average weight of the American Black woman is a size 16 and 200 pounds. That is absolutely ridiculous. I don't care who gets offended by that. I'm a former trainer. I can speak on this stuff. I'm someone who came up in the 70s and 80s and saw the transition. That's what the brother had made the great point about when he used to see videos in the 80s and 90s. These women were looking magnificent. And then there was a switch. I'm going to talk about Black men in a second on this, but I want to make this very clear. You had mentioned, Willie, also about the kids' diet and not seeing vegetables. It's a damn shame that we've accepted this culture of dysfunction versus our actual culture. It was nothing for you to go to somebody's house in the 80s and before where some greens would be on the pot, or, you're eating rice and beans, basically something that's nutritious. Now, when you say mom's cooking, not you, Willie, but it was you, Christine, that these recipes passed down. Yeah, most people recognize you shouldn't cook. Most people recognize you shouldn't cook with lard. I didn't grow up eating pork. That's due to my father being Islamic background, but we won't get into that. But the point I'm making is that even with those bad dietary things of cooking with lard, eating excessive pork, people usually had gardens and they cooked for themselves. Whereas nowadays, and somebody made the good point about Burger King and all this, many people do that, or that's how they eat. Let's tie this back to it's not Black men that like thick women. It's, I'm going to go here. It's basically average to broke black men that like thick women. Yes, I'm going through. Okay, and the reason why is this is because dick and pussy are currency in the black community. Because we've never heard a dude say, damn, dude, you can barely read or you never get a job. Yeah, but I get pussy, though. We've never heard that ever in our lives or what have you. So having some pussy in their minds is better than having no pussy. Now, a woman has a couple of choices she can make. Does she want to be part of the game, or does she want to work hard to have her best statuesque figure? Just because you have multiple kids doesn't mean you're going to instantly get big or fat. I think I mentioned last week, you have many of women of the 70s and 80s. In fact, in the topic that's inspired this, I posted the average women in the 70s. Let's look back. And Brother Willie had made this point clear about the kickball when he was bringing it back. It was nothing to see women doing, I shouldn't say women, girls doing double dutch, hopscotch, and all that stuff, can do jump rope routines where you're like, damn, this is unreal how they could do this. Now they sit at home, like I say, doing this, okay? Have sedentary lifestyles, think they can do the buy a body or go to Miss Miami. And the reason I love the fact that brother, I don't know if it was Herb or David, but whichever one, give yourselves a pat in the back, called this Native Black American. Shout out to my man, Dr. Claude Anderson. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. The reason I love the fact that he made the distinction of this with the American Black woman versus the global Black woman is this. The obesity rate, when people love to say, oh, we're thicker. There's no such thing as thick skeletons, so miss me with that nonsense. But we're thicker. Our proportions are this. Yes, they are. Guess what? The obesity rate in 56 countries in all of Africa is 30%. I should say the obesity rate. I should say the overweight rate, which is a combination of the obesity and being overweight. And being overweight is basically above 30% body fat, and I believe above 35% body fat is just obese. I may have that wrong. It may be 25% or 35, but bottom line is 30%. In America, it's 60%. Yet we have running water, we have paved roads, and all of this. So why is that? Wait a minute. How is it that the American Black woman who's independent, yes, I know it seems like you coming down on all women or whatever. I'm calling it as is. You're Miss Independent. Nobody can tell you nothing. Okay. But now you're blaming men for what you put in your body, for you not going out to work out and stay active and not have a sedentary lifestyle. Wait a minute. You didn't see Auntie, Nana, Big Mama all died as hypertension, and you're still continuing these bad practices. Don't blame men. So if this is what men are like, but men ain't shit at the same time, what is it? Does that mean that everything that you say and boast about on social media about men, I just not need to take seriously? I don't. But, as far as if it's our fault, then why are you listening to us who are giving you bad advice? But it's not our fault. It just comes from simple, one, being uninformed, although if you have one of these, there's no reason for you to be uninformed. It comes from being uninformed and flat out lazy. You can't compare this to other Black women in other countries. This is a first world problem here.
Whew, that was a lot. I mean, and I definitely understand. Like, when you say all this, like, we tend to keep making excuses for certain things that we can't have control over. And a lot of times it is the phones, the video games, the things like that that we don't get out. But Christine also made a good point too with the security thing. It's a lot of sexual offenders or that's in neighborhoods that people don't look into when they move, because we have a transient population nowadays, where I know when I grew up on the street North Avenue in Niagara Falls, pretty much we lived there for like 10 years. So we had people that lived there, knew their mother,
Neighbors
their
know
father.
each other.
Yeah, everybody knew each other, but that's not the case. Nowadays, you may see somebody there 6 months, 9 months, they're gone. Then somebody else moving in. And so you don't feel safe with your kids just, roaming around or going down the street or around the corner. We didn't have to worry about that. We was told, get dressed once they start knocking on the door. Goodbye, and especially in the summertime.
Be home before the street light came on.
Yeah, you come and eat. If you got money in your pocket, you would go to the store. You would eat, or whatever the case is. It's a different
Brother
world.
Dave, in all due respect, I thought we were talking about the modern women. If we're going to take it back to children and that we move children in bad neighborhoods and such, then why don't we can also go back to why don't we take the practice of creating children and then thinking of their lives, not these oopsie babies where we just got to live where we got to live. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying if we're going to go back, then we need to go back on that.
I don't think that matters where you live. You still have the same situation. It's not the same as it was when we were growing up.
So
you don't feel that same sense of safety. I don't care how nice your neighborhood is.
Well,
I've lived in a nice neighborhood for years. I still do.
No.
And we would not let our kids just be outside like by themselves the way we were able to when I was growing up.
So you're taking what I'm saying, Miss Christine, and saying, just let the motherfuckers go around Rome or whatever. Okay. Don't have any oversight on them or anything, or they're going to get abducted. Where do you think all those commercials used to come from about don't talk to strangers and all this from our day?
David actually addressed that. They weren't strangers back then.
Well, my point is that
live in neighborhoods where neighbors knew each other. We don't have that kind of community.
No. This whole we got to keep them indoors because if they walk out 10 steps, that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly or what have you. There was still the street in front of the house that you lived in that you could typically play in front of. Okay. Now, I'm just simply saying that's not going to just fly on kids not being active. There are plenty. That's what the whole earned income tax credit was for. It wasn't for
to send kids out to play.
No. Yes, for their activities. It was for their activities. Why are you laughing, Mr. Willie? Because I can show you the documentation. That's what the whole earned income tax credit was for.
I'm laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's funny.
But it's not funny. That's what the program was originally designed for. Now, what people choose to use their money for is another thing at hand. But what I'm simply calling cap on is, well, no, we can't just let them go outside. Well, then, okay, so then if that's the case, then don't let them walk to the bus stop then, if that's the case. Okay, but they're okay to walk.
Everybody doesn't.
Well, okay, guess what? Okay, on that point, welcome to the problem that you have. So let's look into the solution of it versus, well, this is why it is, and we're just captive by this, so we're going to keep serving them processed foods that we don't cook.
But that's what we discussed. We discussed that that's an issue that needs to change.
Yeah,
that the processed food needs to change. That the traditional eating that they may have learned through generations needs to change. That the whole re-education of that needs to change. Nobody's saying that stuff shouldn't change.
Right. But again, we're back on the kids. Let's talk about the adults. Because like I said, why are you having a kid if you can't figure out, okay, I need my kid to go to this type of school and this, or I'm not equipped. But I know we love this whole, well, they didn't ask to be here. Well, how about this? Why don't we think that way? But again, that goes into another rabbit hole. Let's just talk about how is it our women, if we want to say that, but although they will tell you they're not our women, but I'm using that just for the sake of conversation. Why is it our women are more overweight proportionally than any other group of women? Okay. And our women, I will go on this record and say, are the most statuesque, beautiful naturally, that they don't need to be on this. What bad messaging have they taken in that in the last 30 years, their weights have skyrocketed?
But that's what we're talking about right now.
No, what is it? What is it? I'm giving some things. We've
all given some things.
Right.
Some of it was just like Herb has introduced, is this whole concept of thick being better. You know, it is so prevalent that you have the Kardashians that have gone and had all this constructive surgery to try to copy the look.
So that means
it's real. It's a real thing. So you're being fed.
Just because you're
young women are being fed this from so many different sources.
Okay, guess what?
That's just black men. It's not about blaming. Oh, it's black men's fault. It's not about blame. It's about what do we do to correct it? What do we do to address it? So we know some of it is the fantasy of, you know, coming from men telling, you know, women, oh, I like a thick woman. Because they're being fed the same thing. When they see TV videos, and even those videos that you talked about, what were in them? Those women were adults that were thick and curvaceous. So now you've got young boys looking at these adults that were thick and curvaceous, and they want to. There's 16 and 17-year-old girls that are accessible to them to look the same way.
When I was a child, I thought I wanted a Jerry curl. I said I just thought I wanted. It was just something. And my parents looked at me like, you're not putting that goddamn shit in your effing head. Are you out your flipping mind or what have you? And I'm like, and from whatever on, and then my father sat me down and was like, look at this. He said, you remember when you read Malcolm X or whatever this is? It was the first book I read when I was 10 years old. He's like, yeah, you remember that old conk shit or whatever? It's like, man, you a man. You don't need this damn shit. I don't give a damn what's on this damn video or whatever. You know,
looking at Michael Jackson.
Right. He said, I don't give a fuck if Michael Jackson, The Deal, Morris Day and the Time or whatever. I don't care how these pompadours are. You not doing this. My mother was on the same level. And then they made me look like, okay, you know what? Maybe let me reevaluate this. But a lot of people did it because it's popular and it's peer pressure. So why does peer pressure affect? Why do we always use that? I mean, so everybody's smoking crack. We need to start smoking crack. That's what people are generally saying. We need to do body enhancement surgery. You know, something that you can kind of effing die from. But we need to go to Dr. Miami or go down to the DR and get these unlicensed procedures because we can now have attention from dudes who are nothing in the first place. Where's the mind that would actually accept this, and why? Just because the message is fed doesn't mean that it's the correct message. So that's why
it's not the correct message.
But why are we so? I know the answer to this. Why are we so prone to the propaganda that comes out, and then why do we use it? We're the first ones to talk about. They don't teach us our history in school. They don't do this. They're not supposed to. You're supposed to be a subjugated class. Why would the hell would they teach you things that they're going to elevate you or that would actually elevate your mindset? If we know that, why do we use this as we need to try to look like one of the housewives? Or you got dudes here that are trying to get pectoral implants. It's ridiculous. So I won't go on this part. But why are we so, you know what? No. I just don't understand why the mainstream messaging is often an excuse of why people do things when we also criticize the very same mainstream of why certain things are lacking.
You asked, how did we get here?
These
topics address how did we get here.
No, but I'm saying.
And so we're talking about how do we get better.
Okay. Now you're okay. Those people are weak-minded as fuck, and they deserve what they got. Okay, let's call it what it is. You're there. Now, do you want to talk the solutions, or do you want to keep hammering down, well, it comes from this, and it's not safe? But, yes, I'll be the first to tell you they're weak-minded. If you're going to see yourself and you know that you're in a bad condition health-wise, you've seen people die around you that look the same way you do, and you opt to not do anything about it when all the information is around you, yes, you deserve your outcome. I know that sounds sad. I know that sounds like, man, that is just, how dare could you say that? Hey, if your fork is killing you, guess who's holding your fork?
But how do people change that when that's what they're used to? Because at a certain point, you have to say to yourself, they're living this lifestyle and they're doing that. I have to branch myself away from them. But as blacks,
but
do
that's
we
all
typically
do
we do that? Yeah, do we
How
typically
does a drug addict get off of drugs?
Change up his environment?
You usually have to hit rock bottom.
Yeah, right.
They gotta want it in themselves. The family can't want it. Yes, I've had relatives who I'm like, no, I don't care if he's my relative or whatever. He's for the streets. I know it's easier for me to do that than some people are. But we can't. What we need to do is stop feeding these egos. Oh, y'all beautiful. Did y'all see that that Hooters ad this week? I call them the body positive
ridiculous,
wings.
dude. Ridiculous.
The body positive wings. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Okay, so we're telling women it's okay to be 240 pounds, and now we're featuring them on advertisements, knowing that these corporations recognize, you know what? If we just feed into their bullshit, they're going to keep just spending money with us anyway. And we don't consciously recognize this. Hey, if you're walking off of a cliff and you're willing to walk off the cliff, I can't stop you.
Well, that's a lot. We talked about this subject matter, and again, I always say we're never gonna have. It's never gonna be complete.
Yeah,
I think
the conversation will never be over.
I think putting it out there and having these conversations, at least starting it up, is something for you to think about and marinate on. And I'm sure if you're a good, conscious person, we're all going to walk away with like, man, like it was some good points made, and you're going to start thinking about certain things as far as being health conscious and all that stuff. We all need to.
Well, you want one way to do it. I mean, people say, well, you should make health conscious cool. I think that's corny as hell because what's cool is relative in a sense, you know. But hey, that's one way you can start. But guess what? Look at the peddlers of the garbage. Look at who's the money that's behind them. If you want to know how to solve it, ask them, let's peddle this. Or why don't we stop accepting the narrative? Why, as a collective? And we say, you know what? Damn that shit. We don't want to do that over there or whatever. We're not effing with that. Whether that's you want to go and make veganism vogue, you want to make fasting vogue and all this, do it that way. Maybe that's one way that you can appeal to people. But stop looking at these fucking celebrities and entertainers because that's the main problem.
Yeah, and I do think that a lot of us people, we dream and visualize, and we don't look at regular, normal individuals, whatever, to use as our role models and guidance. And a lot of times we look at these entertainers, NBA players, and stuff like that, and like you're not even at that level. Maybe you should be looking at an uncle, aunt, a teacher, or someone, or a coworker, or someone to kind of be on an even playing field. But I don't know, we just dream.
No, but all that life is a stage. All that life is a stage anyway. It's kind of like I heard Herb talking about NBA things earlier. And right now they show guys like walking into the arena. They show them what they wear and all this. And I'm like, do people think that there's somebody that this is a natural, organic picture of them with the right pose as they're walking into the arena? Or that there's not a camera, there's a photographer there that's taking a million shots and they're choosing this because they're trying to sell you, this is the lifestyle. Oh, this is what it's like. But again, how do parents become the biggest influence in their children's life? Or we're going to talk about it, get to the children or what have you. Now, again, I'm not going to act like I listened to everything my parents said after 15. I certainly did not, but it was always in my ear. And I knew when I did something against what they had advised me against, I'm like, damn, they got one on me, they got one on me. Okay, maybe they're not so dumb after all, but what is it that we can do to get to that point?
So we got work to do. Go ahead, Christine.
No, I was just wondering when we're going to move to the next topic.
No, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. We killed that one. So now I'm gonna bring in this. Why do some women want shit done without no excuses, but when men want something done, here comes all the excuses? Talk to me about that, because it seemed to me that if a man say he couldn't get something done, you got all the excuses. But if a man says, I need you to do this, then all of a sudden women got all these excuses. How does that work? How does that work? Willie, how does that work?
Got a story? We haven't had a Willie moment.
I got caught up. One of the things that you'll find is that women nowadays talk about, and you hear them talk about how, guys are supposed to do for them. I was just posting about that the other day, and women were responding about, the guy paying their bills. I think that's what it was. I posted about guys paying the bills and paying for the hair, get the hair done and all that. And women really had a fit with that. The fact that I said that, that the guy shouldn't have to do that unless it's, a woman. What I said was, okay, I know what I said. I said, if you really like a woman and she asks you to get her hair done, nails done, pay her bills, whatever the thing is, tell her, okay, go ahead and pay it and I'll reimburse you.
Uh-huh.
And people were upset about that because some women feel, because again, watching these reality shows, that the man's role is to take care of the woman. I also posted that because I was watching the show, the guy, what's his name? Country Wayne. Country Wayne. And how his sons were their girlfriends were going shopping. I think I talked about this last week too.
Yeah,
the girlfriends were going shopping and they pulled out this wad of money to give them money to go shopping. And the one son gave the girl $20 and they jumped on him about it. And everything is so materialistic now. It's all about the guys doing for the girl, doing for the woman. And when a man asks a woman to do something, he's considered weak or he trash or whatever the case may be. If he was to go to his woman and ask her to, help him out or to do something with, where she's doing something for him instead of him always doing for her. And that a lot of that is caused by these reality TV shows. These people watching these shows, and these young people and adults are watching these shows, and that's the mindset that is being created now, is that the man is supposed to do these things. The young boys are supposed to do this. Like I said, this Country Wayne guy, he's got millions. He's got almost 1 million viewers of his shows, and all it is about giving women money and taking care of women and pulling out these stacks, $10,000, $15,000 and giving them this money. But you got a teenage boy looking at something like this. Where do you think he's going to get $10,000 from? $5,000 from? He doesn't have a job.
I thought what you had posted was genius. The idea that if you really like that woman and she's asking you to do that, you tell her, right, you go ahead and get it done, and I'll reimburse you.
And women
I thought that was genius.
Yeah,
I thought that was genius because if you can't afford to do it for yourself,
he didn't say
if you can't afford to do it for yourself, why would you expect somebody else to do it for you? Especially when you're talking about personal maintenance.
Yeah,
when you talk, it doesn't really matter if you talk about personal maintenance. If you're talking about your own bills, mm-hmm, you should be able to handle that yourself. That's called being an adult. And in my opinion, if a man wants to do something for you, then that is, it should be appreciated. It shouldn't be expected.
Right. Expected, right? Now you my man, so now you should be paying for me to get my. If you want me to keep looking like this, then you should pay for it. And so that was my point. Exactly what you said. You're expecting something from him that you can't even afford yourself. You know, and that's why I said, if you like her and you care about her, okay, I'll go ahead and get it done and I'll reimburse you. And so many women was upset with that statement. Well, why he got the reimburse? If I got, and they were all, why he got the reimburse? Why can't he just give it to her? Because that's not the point. That's not the point of him giving it to her. He never said he wouldn't. He said, if that's what you want, whatever it is you need, you take care of it, and then I'll reimburse you. And a lot of times they're requesting and demanding things. Like you go out to a club and you offer to buy a woman a drink. She's been drinking soda all night. You offer to buy her a drink. Now she wants top shelf. That's the mindset. It's like you this gimme thing. You're going to get them for whatever it is, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So the mindset, the things that reality TV has done.
So it brings to the question: are women demanding too much from men? Herb, what you think? Are women demanding too much from men?
No.
You know what?
And the reason that
I will say this.
Oh, go ahead. You go. No, you go.
Okay, I was gonna say, I'll say this. Women want traditional men while behaving in a non-traditional manner. And it's as simple as that. A lot of women want to be catered to, but when the reciprocation is asked, they have an issue with it. Me personally, if you can't do for yourself, then I don't need you around me. I'm gonna put it to you like that. This is why I only deal with females that have what I have. And I'm not afraid to put it out there. There's a lot of tenderfoot men out here who running after the anatomy of a woman because they think they can't live without it. I'm gonna tell you about me. I've been on a 6-year hiatus without it. You can take it and walk the fuck away as far as I'm concerned. I'm not that dude.
In all due respect, you nor me or any man on this panel, we're not on the we're not the 25-35 marker, okay? So we have the understanding of life that we can be alone if we choose to be. Willie, you said something to your question I want to respond to. You said it was the question that Christina said that your response was brilliant, and you had said it was about the I'll reimburse you. But what was your original question to that, or like how did you pose it? You had basically said, well, why won't he ask? Why don't you reimburse you or something like that? Do you remember it? If not, I'll just talk through it.
What I posted was if you like a person and they ask you, would you? And the reason why I said if you like a person, because a lot of times you're dating a person, they ask you to do those things. But if it's somebody you like and you really trying to get with them, okay, and they ask you, would you pay my bills or get my hair done, get my nails done, or whatever the case may be, and instead of just doing it, you say, all right, you go ahead and do it, you take care of it, and when you get it done, let me know and I'll reimburse you. Give me the receipt or whatever, and I'll reimburse you. And that shows what they're really doing. What the mindset is. If it's something they're just trying to get you to do, or if this is actually their lifestyle that they're doing. And the guy doesn't mind if that's, he's trying to be a part of that, then he's going to do it. But if it's just something you want because you're trying to get something out of this man, then you're not going to go out and pay for it yourself. You're going to get an attitude with him, which is what a lot of these women got when I posted the question. They got an attitude because they felt that it shouldn't have been a reimbursement. He should have just gave it to her.
Yeah, of course. Again, that's the peanut gallery. I don't even think about them, to be honest with you, because most of them can't back up their damn responses. And Christina said that was a good idea, good response. And then Brother Dave had said something. I was going to say, why are men not being schooled and coached at a young age by their fathers? And my father didn't do this, whatever, so he's just as guilty. Say no. Oh yeah, no. No, you go do it yourself. And people say, well, that's their lifestyle. If that's their lifestyle, she will either choose another suitor that will be her sponsor, or she will be with you and say, okay, let me adapt my way around this. You see, I don't want to go veer this off on another topic, but just stick with me for this. You are correct when you say that this comes from all this housewives type of stuff or whatever we're watching it. We already hammered down the point of how bad media messaging is, so I don't need to revisit that. But there are plenty of professional women that deal with bottom feeders of men because that bottom feeder of a man makes them feel good. Read between the lines. Now, that may not be the man that she chooses to sport around or advertise, but there are plenty of them that do this. I think the problem is that too many men are afraid to say no or to, shout out to Nino Brown, cancel a bit. Whatever, again, shout out to Nino Brown, because they rather have something than not have something. And they deserve, and this is what Brother Dave had mentioned, they deserve what they get. They deserve being, I don't even want to call it extorted. They deserve being seen as what they are. And I like what you said about what type of kid can get this type of money. Oh, I'll tell you the type of kid. The scammers, the low-level wannabe drug dealers who think they pushing more weight than they really are pushing. This ain't the 80s anymore or what have you. But that's the whole point of this, to get guys like this. I think, again, these women are too far. Some of these, let me rephrase that, I'm sorry. Some of these women that were responding to you and said they're too far gone to be reformed. There's still enough good women, if that makes sense. I'm saying good is relative. There's enough good women out here. Guys need to stop being so programmed that these, what do they call them, baddies, IG chicks, whatever, are the only types of women out here that will respond to that. Because I guarantee you this, if you starve them, all you have to do is starve the market and the women will adjust their behavior. Okay? That's all you have to do. But again, too many men are afraid of saying no or want to be seen as the man. Every time I see a picture with dudes, with females, all, when it's not organic, let me say it like that, I'm like, this is a stage or whatever. This is stage. This is fun for the social media and all this. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Christine, I know you got something to say. I know you're not speaking for all women, but what's your take on some of the things that the gentleman said?
Well, like I said before, I thought Willie's what Willie said was genius. If you really like this woman and it's in your heart, you're a giver, but you don't want to be used. I thought that was genius, but at the same time, I do feel like I guess I just wasn't raised that way, that you ask a man to take care of your any of the stuff you mentioned. I get my own hair done, I get my own nails done, and I pay my own bills. And somebody posted whatever happened to chivalry, and Herb said these women want traditional men. Well, if it's a traditional situation, that's her husband. That's your husband. That's, here, babe, get your hair and nails done. That's not some dude that you're trying to date or that's trying to date you, that's doing those things for you. And in situations like that, chivalry is taking them out on a date and treating them on that date. That's like because that's what he wanted to do. It's not that, okay, I ask you on a date, I'm going to pay for the date, and I'm going to get your hair done, I'm going to pay for your babysitter, I'm going to get your nails done and pay your light bill so you can go.
So I got to make a response to Anita's comment. She said,
Anita, can you please hold it for just a second? David, can you please hold it for just a second? Just a second. I want to address it behind you, but what happened to chivalry is very simple. People misunderstand chivalry. Miss Christine, chivalry wasn't done for your benefit. It was done to impress upon your father that once this woman I'm trying to court, once, hey, I am an adequate man. I am a man of means, okay? Because what we know is that marriage was the transferal of this daughter from one family to another, which is why the woman typically took the man's name. what happened to chivalry was men weren't in the home anymore, and people just took all the good things from chivalry and wrapped it around that. So that's what happened to chivalry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so chivalry is dead.
Well,
generally speaking,
but you have to also look at the fact.
So we'll just go off of tradition.
But it was actually Anita that brought up the what happened to chivalry. Christina just reiterated what the thing is. People, they use chivalry and they talk about looking for a good man and all these kind of things, but they want to apply everything to the man's doing. What happened to the things that women did in response to chivalry? What happened to the things a good man was looking for in a good woman? Right. They don't want to address.
And so, since we discussed what chivalry was, and that's not a situation anymore, so let's just take the word chivalry out of it. It's about appreciation. If this man is treating me this way, I'm going to treat him this way as well.
David, it was something. I agree with you, but even a simple decorum of respect. It's sad when you can find a woman that can cook nowadays, and I don't mean your basic stuff. Okay, it is sad. It is beyond sad that we've gotten that far removed from them. And it was something you just said, Dave, but I'm sorry, Willie, that Dave wants to get to this super chat. I not super chat, but this message. But it was something you just said.
Super chat.
Yeah, Willie, you just said something. I'm like, damn, you nailed it right there when you were basically talking about. And I'll move on. I'm sure it'll come up. But go ahead with your comment, Dave. My bad.
I was looking at Anita thing. She said, y'all men going to end up more with each other because y'all don't like how women are. LOL. Not saying scammers type, just honest women looking for a good man. You are so incorrect. You are so incorrect.
Very incorrect, but that's Anita.
Incorrect. Man with options and choices don't have to deal with that type of stuff. So that's what y'all not understanding, whatever. Not every man falls in the same category that you think, oh, I can't get a woman, so I end up with a man. Excuse my language, that should have never happened. Not on my block, whatever. So if you think that, you better think again and look at the men that you know.
That you're dealing with. Dealing with. Right. Exactly. That's what that is. And it's quick for some women to do that too. They'll say that you're gay or you're gonna end up being gay because you don't do the things that they want you to do. But the thing is, that's just another way for some women to use to try to put a man down for not doing the things that they want to do. And that stuff is wearing out. That stuff is playing out and playing thin, because the thing is, it really shows your mindset that you would go there because a man's not doing what you want them to do. And that may be because of your attitude or your behavior or the way your fitness or whatever the case, that you may have a situation. And so he has no desire to be with you. So he doesn't do anything that attracts you or makes you want to be with them. So you will move on and go be with whoever you need to be with.
Willie, it was something you said earlier. I remembered it now. I'll piggyback. I'll keep it brief. It's sort of like when women say what they want in men. When you go through that laundry list, grocery list, whatever you want to call it, of garbage, it's always something that benefits them. It's never a list of, I want a man who's virtuous, who has perseverance, ability to withstand things, whatever. It's always a list of things that benefit them. Now to this comment, I'll just end on this because you wrapped it up lovely. This falls into the who hurt you? You gay. You must hate your mama. You don't get no hug on women. This falls in. This is one of those. Ladies, we have this playbook, okay? You better open up another one, okay? We know these plays. I'm going to read this again. Y'all men, that's us, going to start ending up with more of each other. So now so now the only type of women exist are these women who want to be disruptive. A man got to do this, or if he do this, he can't deal with me. Guess what? Fine. That's the beautiful thing about freedom of choice. Okay. She said she's being sarcastic. So I'll move along on there, what have you. Okay, so no need to belabor that, but that is often the response of a lot of these modern women when they can't deal. Like, damn, you can't say he ugly, you can't say he out of shape, you can't say he broke, you can't say this. So what else is in my bag of insults? What are your thoughts on that, Christine, about your gender that often uses things?
We need more women to join Christine. Where y'all women at? We ran y'all off the show, right?
I was gonna say I gave my opinion on this topic.
Not the topic, but just about the response.
If you are on here often enough, you will see I do not bash anybody. I definitely don't bash men. I don't bash.
I didn't say you did. I'm just simply saying, like, you listen. I think that there are some bum ass, lazy dudes out here, absolutely, and they deserve every piece of criticism they get. You will never hear me not say that. But I was just making a joke about like the typical comments that most women make. I'm like, so what do you think? But you know it's true, right? A lot of women will say that just because they have no other response. Hell, it happened to me. Whatever. Well, that was a dude that said that, but I won't in the group. But that's.
I want to take this back. I want to take this back to something we talked about last week, and I mentioned it last week. And it's this whole subject about men and women and what you said earlier. Give me your name again. My man.
Sir Tice.
Okay, you mentioned about what women say they want in a man and what men. And the thing is, if you ask a woman what she wants, what's that list of what she's looking for in a man, if you think about it, a lot of the stuff that they name are materialistic things. They want a man that's got good money. They want a man that has a car. They want, they name a lot of materialistic things. If you ask a guy what he's looking for in a woman, it's like I had people take offense because I said what? I want a fit, feminine, submissive. You know what I mean? And there was nothing materialistic about those things. Those were things that I was looking for in the type of woman I want to be with, and people actually took offense by that.
Just an awful
especially when I said submissive. Oh my God! You want a slave?
They can't get past that word. They can't. They don't understand. They don't understand that it's more meaning to words than.
So right, I was
when you hear men describe the woman. But when you hear men describe the type of woman they want, a woman that's going to be sexual, intimate with them, and all these kind of things. But you very rarely hear a man saying, "I want a woman that got money," and you very rarely hear a man saying that that's what he's looking for in a woman, because men don't look for that in a woman. And so you hear this materialistic list from a lot of women, and a lot of that comes from social media and these TV reality shows, because they aren't realistic. They aren't realistic. And so they watch these shows and they see these things and they say, that's the kind of man I want. That's the kind of man I should have. So their list of what they want is all this materialistic stuff. And then when they get that guy with all this materialistic stuff, what is he doing? He's not only doing it with her, he's doing it with 2 and 3 and 4 other women. And now they heart broke because that wasn't on the list. I want a man that's going to be committed to me and doing all these things. They leave out the commitment because they don't want to be committed. They don't have commitment.
Words like submissive and fit are trigger words. Listen, like saying defund the police or critical race theory. So
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, it's yeah. I guess in my opinion, it's quite obviously it's taken out of context, and like those terms are for defund the police and critical race theory, and so that's the reaction it has with women. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that's what happens.
I'm saying it's wrong, flat out. Okay, let's be clear here. I don't.
Well,
Listen.
I'm not saying it's wrong. It's a trigger for a reason.
Okay, guess what? I'm glad you said trigger. I'm glad you said
many women have experienced men saying submissive when they really use that as a cover for abuse.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. When I hear, I'm so tired of this damn word because most of these women aren't. Yeah, I'm going there. Most of these, I would say probably 35% men should deal with and work with. The rest of them, they're too messed up in the programming and they're too hard-headed. They bought hook, line, and sinker into a feminist agenda that was never designed for them in the first place, but that's another topic here. Mm-hmm. But when you say submissive and all this stuff, and that conjures to them, and they think slavery, first of all, dummy, not saying you, whatever I'm saying. First of all, dummy, though, you weren't a fucking slave. So shut up, okay, with this. Number two, most of the violence that happens between couples are between men and women, are between two people that chose each other. So this goes back into the choices of those people, right. Okay? And they need to resolve those issues before they, let me use my big word for the evening, before they extrapolate that on the entirety of the population. Why were you attracted to this abuser type of person? Oh, of course he didn't come in saying, I'm an abuser or whatever. But most of these, how many times do we see people, men and women, how many times do we see people that end up with the same type of people that they had before? And it's because there's a level of comfortability. Can't say that word that well, with them. It's kind of like it's the devil that they know versus challenging their own minds and saying, you know what? I've made some effed up choices. I don't have to post this on social media, but I do need to look inner of myself. And how can I get past my effed up choices? Nope. Nah. Always got to be the boss. Always got to be on top. Always got to be at the finish line holding the trophy, even if they didn't run the race. And that's what will forever keep them in the same position. Looking at these simplistic words like submission. What's the other one? As if it's something like, okay, woman, I said make my eggs over easy. You made them over hard. How dare you? And let's just stop the cap, as the kids say. These people really need to resolve their personal issues, but I'll end on this. I do love when women speak on these type of things in social media and get triggered, because those should be clues to the type of women that men, she's waving a red flag or whatever. She's waving more red flags in a Chinese Day parade or whatever. Okay, don't deal with that. Don't walk into that. Unfortunately, some guys do. They think, oh, I can change this. No, you can't.
Herb, what you thinking, man?
Yeah, Herb, what you thinking?
Man, it's like Sir Tyson really and everybody has said, man. I'm selective with whom I deal with, and for a lot of different reasons. And the reasons that have been mentioned are case points, and that they speak to them. They speak for themselves. So if you want a certain type of individual, you have to go select that individual. And I've often said that I went on a 6-year sabbatical for dating because I was choosing the incorrect person for what I want. So when I choose, it's based upon what can I bring to the table that this person wants or needs, and vice versa. Because sometimes we're trying to put square pegs around holes and vice versa, not to be. That's on her. That's not on me. Were they done when I met you?
Hey, Herb.
No, I know that. No, were they done when I met you?
Message.
And if they were done when I met you, then continue to get those done. Because there's no rhyme or reason or no guarantee that 3 months from now, 4 months from now, 6 months, 8 months, or 2 years that we can be together. So what you gonna do? Go out looking busted? Go out looking unattractive? As women are fond of saying that they don't do things to appeal to men. They do things to appeal to themselves and to other women. So continue with that mindset.
Lies. Totally.
Because see, I'm the type of person that if you want to climb on that hill, I'll bury you on that hill. See, I can do it either way. I'm flexible like that. So I don't demand that a woman don't do anything that she hasn't done, and vice versa. She can't demand that I do anything that I haven't done. Now, it's like So Ty said, if I like you enough, or Willie said, pardon me, if I like you enough, yeah, I might throw you a bone. I might want to take you somewhere so you might not have the attire that I like. So I'm going to go out and buy you some attire that I like. We getting the best of both worlds. I get to see you in something that I like. You don't have to pay for it, but you're not going to demand that I do something because you think your anatomy has that type of power. I hold the trump card, not you.
Okay.
So David, please highlight Vicky Moore's comment and then ask her who she's referring to. I don't know who she's referring to, but these are the same type of
We got
comments.
like 10 minutes for the next subject.
Yeah, these are the same type of comments that Willie and I were talking about that's in the laundry list of replies, in the you gay, your mama hurt you, or you must hate your mama, who hurt you, who's this, or whatever. So Miss Vicky Moore in the audience, me and her, if single means not being in a relationship, that is correct. If it means that I don't go out with women, then you will be incorrect. Would you like to see, Miss Vicky, the person that I went out with yesterday? Would you like to see that for $100? I can show you that. Would you like to see a woman who I was out with in LA? What have you? Okay, a couple of weeks ago. But regardless of the women that I could show you that I was out with, what the hell does it matter about being single or not nowadays? Most relationships are going to fail anyway and aren't leading to marriage. So what does that mean? I'm cocky enough in my own damn self that I can say what I think, and I know that there's still women out there for me because many of the women that I attract know that, hey, he's steadfast in his beliefs. I respect that, whereas many guys are just going to pander to you guys. So there you go.
Whew. Well, I already know, Christine, we're not going to get to the other subject matters. It's going to be a carryover because, and I'm not mad at it, because these subjects drawed out a lot of conversation, and it was stuff that had to be addressed. And as like Vicky was saying, about I bet he's single and all that stuff. Contrary to what you may believe, and I know sometimes women say, I'm single by choice. Most of the time, women want to be in relationships. They want to be in relationships, and guys often can really say, I'm single by choice. Because y'all might not want to hear it. We have more options. We have more options. We already know women outnumber men in a certain thing.
Now she's just talking stupid or whatever. So okay.
Well, that usually happens when you're backed against a wall and you just got to come out. Yeah.
This is exactly why that the average. I'm not gonna throw a shot at her, but they gotta always go to the ad hominems. They always have to go to the ad hominems and such. So Vicky, I'm so boring. I'm so boring. You're right. I'm not gonna. What do I show pictures of my fantabulous lifestyle? Nah, that's corny. I don't need to do that. Okay. So my bad for interrupting you, but I like to respond to these in live time. Hey, one second. Pull your bra strap back on. You probably took it off. Come up to the panel.
Oh. We always say that. I always say that when the lights get bright, because I don't like throughout the week when I post stuff in the counselor's corner, I'm like, I'm not going to go back and forth. But when the brights is light, come on here and voice and call people out. Oh, I'm at work. Well, I got an elderly person in my family that I'm taking care of. Get the fuck out of Dodge with that shit, because I done heard that too many times.
Suddenly they're focused about working. By the way, the Bears just scored a touchdown. It's 2023 for y'all. care about football. This is
I care
crazy.
about it. Pittsburgh is my team. They played a lot of games to let Chicago hang with them.
Yeah, man, this is insane. We go to your next topic, whatever. I'm here. I'm here. Okay, Miss Vicky Moore, because I do remember you now. You have a lot of little smart ass flipping comments. But let's have this live. Let's have this live, okay? One thing I can't stand is this, fellas and lady, is it's like we can't even have a conversation as adults, you know? Okay, if everything worked on a status quo level, then why would we even be here? Because the status quo does not work. Am I wrong?
Well,
no,
yeah,
you're correct.
No, you're not wrong, because what is status quo? I mean, everybody has a different idea. So, no, you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Vicky said, "I'm here. Don't play me. Come on in, show face, Vicky.
Get on it, Vic. Vic.
She's here in spirit. She ain't here. She ain't cammed up. She ain't mic'd up.
She said, Anita, Lynn,
I
want to talk
that's
to
what
her.
we know.
You don't want to talk to Anita. You don't want to talk to Anita. We ran Anita off this platform. We ran them off. Yeah. So you don't want to talk to Anita.
You're not trying to come on here.
Yeah.
You're not trying to come on here.
Yeah. We already ran her off. We ran her. In fact, we ran about 5 of them off.
But I think, I think one of the things that we really do need to look at some of the cause and effects of relationships, and not just relationships, but like we were talking about, hygiene and nutrition and all these different things that affect our women and our men. And people, when I say hygiene, people say, "What do you mean hygiene?" But that was one of the questions I'm gonna put on one of our weeks, is talking about hygiene in relationships. And you'd be surprised that
it was kind of hinted at over this past week with the dirty socks and the busted shoes.
That's what made me
so
think
it
about
was kind of hinted at.
You know what? And you know what?
Think about it again.
You know what? And I've seen a lot of people trying to rationalize for them dirty shoes. Like, there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. Those shoes that was posted, they were trying to say, "Oh, or maybe she's a street walker." Maybe, like, for real, like, come on now, like.
And that's what we have, and that's why I said we need to discuss those things, because the thing is, you get that response on a post, but people will look at the post, and then most people won't say anything. They just kind of look at it because it may hit home with them, or they don't know how to respond because, like, whatever the case may be, especially a lot of times if it hit home. And that's the thing, you get in these relationships. What do you do in a situation like that? How would you address a situation like that if you're dating somebody and they pull their shoes off and come in your house and you see that, And the thing is, in West Indian culture, West Indians, Jamaicans, and Haitians, those kind of families, when you go into a house, right, you take your shoes off.
Yeah.
When you go into the house, because it's considered respect of the house, because you don't bring dirt from the outside into a person's house.
But you take off your shoes, and it's scarier than the bottom of your feet are scarier than the bottom of your shoes. Then there's an issue.
Right.
And see, one of the things,
and if you just, we need to talk about that sometime, is just having that discussion about what do we, I don't even know how to even bring it up, but talking about hygiene and nutrition. We talk about nutrition now, but hygiene is a big factor. If you deal with people that got no teeth or front teeth or, bad breath or don't wear deodorant, you have some cultures that don't wear deodorant, you know what I mean? So those are some of the things we need to talk about also, because it's not always just materialistic in relationships. You have a lot of things that happen in relationships that can be hygiene related. And I definitely got a good story for that.
That's pretty true, because the things that we were talking about, when you ask a woman, really, and a man, when at the most basic level, when you ask them what they want, men and women, what they give you is a very superficial list. So you get those things that you asked for, and then it still doesn't work out because all these other things weren't even thought about.
Yeah.
You didn't even think about them, look at them.
Think about them, yeah.
You didn't think
Until
about
they realize
character.
they're
You didn't
missing.
think about hygiene. You didn't think about what their health habits are. So and then when they come into play, you're like, oh, this man's got all this money and he's doing all this stuff for me, but I can't stand to be around him.
Well,
nobody and that's really. The thing, we don't.
Well, she's got a great body, but oh my God, when she took off her clothes, it was like I had to open windows. Just whatever.
Thank you. Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Those are the things you make that list, and it's the things that you leave off the list that are the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the most important things, and so we make these lists of what we think we want, but we don't really sit down and think about what we really want in a relationship. What do we need and what do we want?
I think some of that even comes from the fact that we think those are just basic things that, of course,
they are.
Have good hygiene. Of course,
they are.
For some people,
you think that. Of course they're going to have.
That's why it's an issue.
It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee shoe-in.
But exactly, it's not a guarantee.
I know that this is
especially with the young people that we have growing up these days now. A lot of the young people and older people, their parents aren't talking to them about hygiene. That's why we do hygiene in my program with my boys, because they're not learning hygiene at home. They're not learning about brushing their teeth at home. They're not learning about deodorant at home. So we put together these hygiene kits, and I get donations from hotels and dentist offices and things like that. We put these kits together, and then we give them to the kids, and then we do a whole couple sessions on the use of those things. We give them sheets, with the information on it, because we know that, those kids come into class and you smell something, you be like, who the hell? And the thing is, it's embarrassing to them, but then also some of their friends smell the same way, so they don't know who's smelling. But it's because it's not being taught at home. We learn those things growing up. Your mother say, all right, get in there, take a bath before you went to bed, brush your teeth before you went to bed. We did those things. Those things aren't being done. And we think it, like you said, you're thinking it's just something that's natural that we automatically do.
You just think that's automatic. Well, of course.
And it's not. These days, it's not.
Who didn't grow up bathing and hit a certain age and was introduced to deodorant and, you just assume.
Girls are best, and I say girls because when girls' body odor, it's affecting a lot of different things with their body, with their odor, and the hygiene for girls. So when I do my mixed group, which is No Dream Is Impossible with boys and girls, I bring in a woman to talk to the girls, so that way they feel comfortable, because you don't want to hear from a guy. Plus, I don't know all the things that women need to address. So I'll bring in a woman to talk to them and go over those things with them, and we give them hygiene kits also. So the thing is, and then I bring extra stuff every week, because this way, if they run out, they can go right into the container and get something that they ran out of, and the kids are so used to it that it's just a natural. They're not embarrassed about going to get more, and they'll come and say, Mr. Price, you got any more deodorant? You got any more toothpaste? And those kind of things. They'll come and get
Which that's a good sign. That means it's sinking in.
You're utilizing.
Yeah, I just feel you obviously
a lot of them aren't learning it at home. They're not learning it in the homes. The parents, a lot of times, the parents don't know to teach them. They might know some of the things, but they don't know to teach the kids. That's the problem. It's not so much they don't know. They're just assuming that they know to wash up and how to wash up and what to use, especially for girls. And so I think that's something that we need to talk about, maybe in a future show, is, relationship and how those things can affect the relationship.
Willie, all you got to do is say it. We put it down. It's something.
Well, I hope we're going to carry over those other topics.
I got to think how to word it.
It's something as simple as one of my friends told me about, like, when people brush their teeth. Most people don't brush their tongue. or whatever the case is. They brush,
or the roof of their mouth.
And that's where the smell comes from. And you're like, well, I brush my teeth a couple times a week, but you never hit that tongue up. But you study running your damn mouth and your breath smell like shit. It's simple as that. It's little things that
they don't realize
you don't know.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was this bad. To be frankly honest with you, I'm not with kids like that at a level, but to me, I think it's a difference between children who come up in, I'm not in a bad environment, because just because you're economically impoverished doesn't mean that you don't know simple things about hygiene or whatever. There's still baking soda and toothpaste or what have you, okay? Right. So I'm not going to go there, but for people to grow up into this, that's kind of insane to me in a sense. Now, just on the dental level, you're absolutely correct about the whole tongue thing. And I'll add that flossing, that's more key, than anything else. When you go on your dental business, and the importance of cleanings. Just getting regular cleanings will save you a ton in future dental bills, and this goes back even to the diet discussion. Not drinking excessive soda or pop, or we call it pop, but not drinking excessive pop, which breaks the enamel of your teeth and these things. But I didn't realize that it was this many funky people, as you guys described or whatever, that this was actually an issue. Now again, for children, I'm not gonna criticize those, because that's an environment that they came up with. They had no choice to come up with it, and it's great to hear people, the children, coming up to you asking for more of these things. So keep that education going. But I'm sorry, it's hard for me to rationalize a 22 to 30, 35-year-old that doesn't know these simple things, But hey, I guess that's what it is with the environment.
If you haven't been taught it, and you haven't been around it,
you don't know.
Again, those are the things that happen. And when you talk about going to the dentist,
I think you hit a certain age. If you're over 30, definitely 30, 40, whatever and up, and you've got those issues, you're lazy.
Yep, exactly.
But that's what happens. You have a person that grew up, and they weren't told, like you said, like
it wasn't prioritized.
Every night you take a bath, you take a shower or bath before you go to bed, or when you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth, those kind of things. So growing up, they did it periodically. They washed periodically. Everything was periodically. And as they got older, that's where you see the person picking up a shirt, smelling it, and okay, it's good, and they put it on. You see those kind of things, and I've seen that. I'm telling you, being a landlord and dealing with young people in rental properties, you see those kind of things. Clothes in the closet with no dressers and things, and they pull out a stack of clothes, and they'll pull up something and smell it, and then okay, it's good, and put it on. You know what I mean?
Like you pack this up.
And those things are just what happens in certain households. You talked about kids going to the dentist and things like that. You have kids who haven't been to a dentist, like 8, 9, 10 years old, and never been to a dentist. 11, 12 years old, never been to a dentist. And so by the time they go, they're afraid to go because they don't know what to expect. And so when they do go, they go that one time, and they may not go for another couple of years. And then you have adults that don't go to the dentist. And by the time they do go, it's normally because something is rotted, something that's broken in their mouth, and they're getting an odor from that damaged tooth. And then they're only going because of that pain that they can't take it anymore, that odor they can't take anymore. These are the things that we need to talk about as well, like I said, because these are just things that people really don't know. Really don't know.
On the list.
Let me ask this. Let me ask this. And maybe this is a topic, because I thought of something. Now it's going to be random as hell, but this ties into this. Just stick with me. I know you guys are pushing this. So, well, I won't get into the inspiration of this. I'll say this. What I've noticed, and this is controversial, what I'm going to say, is that people who you have a lot. I said earlier when we were talking about the whole weight issue and thick thing, is that we have a culture of accepted dysfunction. Okay. And what I've noticed is that the very people that will argue about structure, rules, and this are very counterculture and tend to be though of those dysfunctional types. And then we wonder why this is. Case in point, you look at your child is a beautiful thing. You want the best for your child. There's no way in hell you're not going to make sure that your child has clean clothes, even if they only have 2 sets of clothes. You would think, look at an animal in the wild and how they treat their child. They will protect them for the life. Go try to take a bear cub and see, won't your ass not come out alive or what have you, Okay. But unfortunately with us, has it gotten, I shouldn't say just with us, you have with people, has it gotten so bad that these people just accept their dysfunctional lot? And then when you try to say this, oh, you want us to be like this. No. Stink or odors have bacteria. Bacteria is bad. It'll cause other forms of damages. You explain this. I think that we do have a collective where you have some people who just enjoy that whole dysfunctional lifestyle. And again, salute to you for teaching the kids at least, so maybe that the kids will potentially break that cycle.
Well, our program now, that's why we just started the nonprofit. We're actually incorporating the entire family. We're doing the whole family setting for our programs this year in 2022, because that is what we found, is that a lot of the kids that we work with, they may learn things in that program that's not being reinforced at home. So we're going to start including programs and activities for the entire family. And so I've been trying to do it through the schools and get a lot of, pushback from even doing our regular programs in the schools. So I'm trying to get with either community agencies or churches and doing it in a church basement, church classroom or something, and getting people to come to the churches or community centers to do it, because the schools, they don't want you to talk about sexual awareness. They don't want any sex ed courses. They don't want any sex education, or the kids can be pulled out of them. Things that these kids need to know. A lot of these things, they don't want them being instructed in the schools. So we're looking at, that's why I went with the nonprofit, so I can just find locations where we can do this with the entire family. So that way it's being reinforced at home, because now everybody's working together. Everybody's on the same page. You're not training one kid, and he's going home to 2 or 3 brothers and sisters who's not getting the same information, who don't have that hygiene kit, who does, all those things that we provide, we're going to be providing for the entire family. And so that's what we're working on now. And that's why we're doing these fundraisers and applying for grants. And it's different. It's really different doing this nonprofit stuff, but is badly needed for families, not just and everything is for kids. A lot of these programs they have out there for kids, but it really should be families, because especially in the inner city, a lot of these families aren't getting the information and the nutrition and all these issues that we think should be basic, basic knowledge. It's not basic knowledge.
Let me know how I can donate to that, because I appreciate the effort there, and I think that this is something that definitely has long-lasting impact.
All right, I'm gonna hit you with the cash app for it, and it's tax deductible, so you can deduct it on your taxes. Like I said, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, so and we've been getting pretty good donations. I'm actually going for some corporate sponsorships. I'm looking for some corporate sponsorships now instead of a lot of individuals, because, like I said, we have some things coming up through the pipe that's really going. We're trying to do families. We're trying to work with families and not just the boy or the girl like we've been doing. We want to work with the entire families.
And that's the thing I keep saying, like schools and all that stuff get all these grants and all that stuff for teachers and everybody to work with these kids, but it's never going to change unless that money is funneled into the family, because they still got to go back home and deal with mom and dad who have a different ideology than the school. So I'm like, they just putting this money out. So a lot of times when they're like, oh, Mr. Glover, you want to be a part of this committee? I don't really say much. I be like, I don't wholeheartedly, I don't feel it's a waste of my time because I know it has to come from the home. You have to be inside the home. That's what changes communities, is families, whatever.
Right.
And that's the thing. And I'm like,
it's not being brought there, and that's why I went with the nonprofit. And that's what I was just saying. I went with the nonprofit because this way we are incorporating the family. We know we do our fitness programs. We do the family, family fitness. We do my track and field program. We do family. It's a family track team. So I got parents out there running, and that encourages the kids. They see their mom and their dad out there running on the track team with them, and we'll even go to some track meets, and I'll put them all on one relay together. You know what I mean? So now you got this family relay, and again, it's really encouraging to the entire family. So these are the kind of things that I'm pushing, but we get a lot of pushback from the schools because they don't see that as their role to help the entire family, just that one kid that's in their school.
I think they look at it from they look at it, and I'm not defending these schools by any stretch. I think they're looking at it from the liability factor. God forbid they say something. Well, like for example, with the whole sex ed thing, whatever, you have some schools that teach. I don't even want to say this, but let's just say certain types of reproduction. Okay. And they caught a lot of heat for that. So it's sort of like, let me say it like this, because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's sort of like the zero tolerance rule. The zero tolerance rule isn't about there's zero tolerance. It's about we can suspend them all, and we won't have to deal with this, we won't have to get to the core of the issues. It's kind of a way that, hey, we didn't teach them that. So if they say that they got this information from here, even though you're talking about sanitary things, that seems fairly logical. I don't know. It's just a weird way that these schools are working now. So, and again, I'm not saying
if you go into a program and you present the program, if you're presenting an agenda, and you normally provide agenda to the school of what your curriculum is going to be, but if you have agendas and your program, then your opinion or your thoughts or your feelings or your views shouldn't be a part of that program. And that's where you have the conflict, where you're talking about the sex ed stuff. When we talk about sexual education in my program, we talk about general stuff. Like I said, we'll bring in a bunch of cucumbers and talk to the boys about do they know how to put on a condom. And then we let them try to put a condom on a cucumber, and it becomes humorous because half of them don't know, but they say they know. And just watching them do this activity and things like that, so you try to keep it to general information, so then that way they can go and look for additional information themselves. You don't touch on subjects that are going to make a kid feel uncomfortable or make a kid go home and talk about, well, Mr. Price said this, or and now you got the parents backlashing against the program. You want to do things that's going to make that program grow. So if you don't go in there with your own agendas and give them your opinion, your programs can go forever. So that's what we do in my program. I don't do anything based on my feelings and thoughts. If a kid even asks me my feeling or my thought or something, I'll say, well, what do you think? And I'll put it back on them and let them tell me what they think. And then I'll ask the class, well, how do y'all feel about what he said? I never offer, very rarely do I offer my opinion. And then that way, it's the kids communicating among each other. And so that's what really helps, because it's all about peer,
No, understood. I'm all for it.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but that's the problem. Yeah. You have to be careful with what you present and how you present things, because of course, if you say something really controversial, they're going to take it home and go home and say it. Well, Mr. Price said this. So now all of a sudden you got this backlash from the parents, and now the program is being terminated because of something a child took home and said that you said, or didn't make sense to them, or it was controversial to them. So when you stay away from issues, it focuses on just enhancing the child. But like I said, my programs now are more focused on families. Is working on building the entire family and not just one child in the family.
Honestly, that's, when I ran for school board, I said, a student exists in 3 realms: home, school and community. If either one of those are faltering, that child is at risk for failing. And that's exactly what Willie's talking about. That's why when the last time I ran, we have a truancy issue here. I said, this is what needs to happen. I said, if our truant officers aren't doing their jobs, then we just need to eliminate them altogether. Take that funding, bring those parents in, so right along with the kids, they can learn the same thing that their kids are learning. That way, not only is it reinforced in school, it's reinforced at home, and eventually what's reinforced at home and in school emanates out into the community. So now you have that fabric where that child does not become a risk for failure. And in turn, they start to teach the neighborhood. So that way, everything and everyone goes together.
Also, you ever think about that? Sometimes it's a play on ignorance for parents. Like, if I don't get involved, then I don't know what's going on, and I can always use that.
Use that.
So
Oh yeah,
some of
absolutely.
them don't. So some of them don't participate, or I never got that phone call, or I don't know their grades, but you should have the grades because you could go on
Right.
the Schoology or whatever program you use to check your kids' grades on a daily basis, and stuff like that. So a lot of it is
And then
they're gonna.
they're mad when there's no graduation.
Yeah, so it's so
Mhm.
much, but I really don't
Yeah,
want
it's a
to
lot.
belabor the point and keep
Yeah, we could be
everybody
on here all
going.
night
We
with
we
that.
done ran over the time, and we've
Yeah,
got
Christine.
two carryover conversations for next time. So, and it just these conversations keep building on from
I
one
gotta
week to
learn to
the
shut
next.
my mouth.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give some closing comments. And I can't believe, as I glance over this game, the Steelers are losing by 1 to the Chicago Bears. This season is trash. Just throw it away. But we're gonna give our closing comments, whatever. I'm pissed right now.
Oh Lord.
Anybody got any closing
Um,
comments?
I'll go first. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this. I was a little taken back tonight. I really like I said, I always enjoy the show. I enjoy coming on. I enjoy the conversations. One of the things something that we talk about is being respectful of our guests and being respectful of the people that are watching the show. And there was some words used tonight that really offended me, and it's because
I
I
have to
don't
agree.
use them, and I think we talk about that a lot. And I like we were talking about using the word niggers. We don't use that. Well, very rarely have I heard somebody say the word nigger or niggers or whatever you want to call it. But then referring to our women as bitches, that really offended me tonight. And I think we even lost one of our guests when that term was being used on the show. And so I think we have to be more mindful if we're talking about enhancing and uplifting and building relationships. We can't come on here doing those things, disrespecting our black men or our black women, or using terms that we know are going to be considered offensive to them, and put them in a situation where they feel uncomfortable coming onto the show. So I'm going to apologize if anybody was offended by those words, because I was offended. And it's not my place to say anything to the person that was saying it, but I was offended by it. And it's because I know I don't use those words. And so I just, suggest that we kind of be mindful of situations like that, because it can be very, offensive, especially to our black women or any woman that's watching the show, to be referred to in that manner, even in discussion of whatever the topic is. And then finally, in closing, as usual, headshots can be deceiving, so be careful.
Didn't you add something to that last time? You
Oh
said
yeah,
something.
I talk about makeup too, but headshots and makeup. Please, man, headshots can be deceiving.
All right, I'm gonna piggyback for Willie. Like, so when and I know you talking about when the guy came on there. He was someone new who came on the platform,
Right.
and one of the things is you don't know when somebody comes on. It's like a public forum, and they say this stuff. And like I always tell people with the counselor's corner, there's it's a lot of female bashing and all that. You don't get that from me. You don't get that from me. You get it from certain individuals, whatever. And those is the individuals you need to address, whatever. So I don't even know. I don't even remember his name. The guy who came on, but he came on. He spoke his piece. But it speaks more to about his experiences than the overall platform, because on a week-to-week basis, you don't hear any of us saying bitches, niggas, and all that stuff. So sometimes you're gonna have somebody come on there,
right?
And it's not like we're gonna like, oh, cancel him out, censor him, or block him out. You just, somebody speak, whatever.
Right.
So I apologize as being, I guess the lead administrator in this for that language if anybody was offended by it, but don't look at any of the other panel members and think that's us, because you don't hear that from us. So,
but you know what, Dave, I brought it up, and the reason why I brought it up is not, like I said, I understand they were new, but I didn't just want it to be overlooked, because then you have people leaving the show tonight saying, that this is what's being said on the show and being offended by it. So I felt by
thinking
at least
it's endorsed.
Right, that we're endorsing it because we didn't say anything. But I wanted people to know that they know, if you've been on this show and you've watched this show, that's not how we do things. That's not how we refer to our women or, to women on this show. And so it was a rare situation, but, I wanted to acknowledge that and let people know that it wasn't just ignored, and that I paid attention, and I was offended myself by it. So I just wanted, people to feel, that it was recognized.
And I understand. I appreciate you calling that out. I appreciate it. Anybody else with their closing comments?
The stylistics. Stylistics back in, I think, the late 19. Go ahead, Sir Tyson.
No, go ahead. I love the stylistics. So
okay, the stylistics back in, I think, like the 1970s made a song called "People Make the World Go Round."
Yeah, that's a nice song.
We have to stop hiding under rocks and pretending like, I believe the gentleman's name was Beautiful Chaos, like those people don't walk alongside of us.
True.
As if they don't exist. The Real Housewives of whatever city you want uses that language consistently. And the main people that probably were offended by what he said are the main people who tune into those shows. So let me guess. Your offense is selective, because when women call each other boss bitches, y'all don't have a problem. So I'm trying to figure out, when are you offended and by whom and why? Because if you watch this show long enough, as David and Willie have said, you realize that the other panel members don't speak like that. So if you tuned in to the first time, I would advise you to go back and just watch some of our other show content and just listen to what we talk about. I'm not going to censor that guy. I'm not going to reprimand that guy. I'm not going to say that we don't do that, because it's out there in the world. It's out there in TV, pop culture, popular media, music, television. Wherever you go, it's there. Are you sanitizing those people as well? Are you offended by your best female friend saying it? Or when hip hop lyricists use it? Are you offended when Cardi B talks about WAP? If you're not, then don't bring that shit to the panel. So, I don't want to hear it.
I'm offended by it, so that's why I don't listen to it.
The gray area.
That's why I don't watch it.
See you next time.
So it reminds me of this point. I'm gonna let you go, Sir Ty. Like, barely seldom I have to cover a class. So I had to cover an art class. So 7th graders. I mean, I'm like, these kids cuss like freaking truck drivers. Shout out to all the teachers who deal with that on a regular basis. I was just in there. So when I came in there, they look at me like, hey, Mr. Glover, you subbing for us? They're like, oh, it's party time. But they also know they only going to get away with so much. But
so much.
I'm not going to get into power struggles, because their language is, one boy was saying something about the girl, like, give me my chair back, bitch, and all that stuff. And then the girls were saying something. Then I called him out. He's like, Mr. Glover, oh, but it's okay for them to call me a bitch. She said, but when I called them, because I said I was going to pull him after I leave, and I was going to call his mother and let him on speakerphone explain how he called women bees. And then he said, but they say it all the time. Women say it all the time. So nobody says anything. So I had to fall back. Then he came up to me at the end of class. He said, do I gotta come with you after this class in? And I had to cut it. I was probably just selling wolf tickets anyway. I ain't got time to be caught doing all that. And I said, I'm gonna let you go, man. And then he ended up cleaning up some of the paper and stuff that was on the floor for me. But I'm trying to tie that into sometimes people say it. Then if a guy say it, it's viewed differently. So he brought that to my attention. Like, you hear these girls, they say it all the time, call us bees. But when I say it, you call me out.
So that was right. What the hell?
What was that?
That's what I said. What the hell? You got a twin?
Herb, you got a twin?
There's two Herbs over there.
By the way, Pittsburgh just kicked the field goal.
Okay.
I wish I would have heard. I heard. I was getting out of my car and I was listening on my phone. And I heard you guys talking about the whole N-word thing. I didn't hear the B-word part, but I know I'm in the minority. I think how you speak is often a reflection of what you get. So, for example, when women often refer to all men as N-words, or when N-words do this, and I'm like, so what kind of man are you dealing with? Now, I get it. It's some colloquialism and all this. It's a colloquialism that I was talking to, I was basically a teenager, and they all call each other this. And I'm like, dude, listen, I can't, y'all don't do that around me. All right. Y'all going to watch y'all language around me. Okay, now I can't control what you guys do outside of here, but just time this. I just think it's lazy, but it's also reflective of what you think of people, and I think the young lady had said something to the effect of, well, yeah, I'm real bad about that or whatever. And it's like, I remember hearing that aspect. Now, I didn't hear the B word and all this, and I think that when you use that indiscriminately, it kind of kills whatever good points you have too. But as always, thanks for letting me on. To the primary topic, health is very concerned. Health is wealth or whatever. Because maybe I'm just very passionate about this, I've done plenty of videos on fasting. You can look my name up on YouTube, what have you. You'll see multiple videos on this. I tell people how to get into it and how to learn it, I explain even how our weight as a culture has spiked from, we had a 10% obesity rate from 1900 until 1976. Then in 1988, it suddenly spiked to 20%, to whereas now it's at 60+%.
Yeah.
How did it just spike like this? There was something within the sugar supply. There was something within the high fructose corn syrup. I heard you guys talking about that earlier too. It gets a little bit more granular, but still. But even though those are part of the culture, a lot of this is our food choices and our lifestyles that we choose. As far as what I did say, yeah, I will go there. You can't show me any man of prominence. And when I say of prominence, use whatever word choice you would like to use, whether that's your so-called celebrities, who I can't stand, but I understand they are part of the so-called culture, or even your top businessmen of your community and things like this. Show me a man that has, I know people here comes the offensive, basically a vastly overweight woman by his side. Now wait, okay? Now, I will wait, okay? Now, I'm sure you can find your onesie twosies, but to use men as an excuse for one's choice of how they present themselves is about as irresponsible as can be, especially when this very same group are known for being vocal about how independent and how in control of their lives that they are. So if you're that independent and all this control, you can't say, well, I really do this to try to look good for the men. No, You do that for the men that's within your peripheral, I should say your peripheral, within your purview, within your purview, and you're putting your health at risk. It's very sad, but again, that choice comes within. And the last topic, hey, I did not know that these hygiene issues were that bad with some of these children, but shout out for making awareness of this and actually doing something about it. And I meant it. I'm definitely going to contribute to this when you post it. So thanks for making me aware, and always thanks for welcoming me, allowing me to come on. This is a really good game, by the way, too, for those of you watching it.
All right. Christine.
You're muted.
Yeah.
You're muted.
I was saying that I enjoyed the show as usual. Very good topics. The discussion is never over on any of these topics. That's why they repeat sometimes, but I love it. Thanks, David, for even having this platform, and I look forward to the carryover topics.
All day long, it just getting. I know we got some other stuff building, so that's why I say sometimes take notes when I reach out to everyone to say, okay, what's your topic, hot topic? Throw those in there, and we always keep some running topics going because we know other people are watching and still in topics too from our platform. Because we keep it going.
It's okay because I pilfer as well.
Yeah. But I definitely appreciate you all. Did everybody go get their closing comments? I think they did.
Herb didn't. Did he? Did you?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think he did.
So we all went, and I appreciate you all, the panel, the people in the
Herb's
comments
twin
section.
didn't.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that's about. But everybody stay safe.
There you go.
Again, we always talk about COVID and all that stuff is still out there. We're getting into that. We've been into that actual flu season and all that stuff. Still be careful, be mindful. The holidays is coming. You're going to be having more gatherings and all that. Be safe and know who you're around because people are still getting it, and prominent people are getting it, especially for us who watch the sports world. And you see like athletes like, oh, they've been with COVID and all that stuff, but it's real. And in the school setting, we know the kids are getting it too because we get emails saying they're going to be out for the next 10 days and stuff like that. It's still real. Don't get comfortable. Keep your feet on the gas and keep striving for good health, positivity, and being around the right people. And with that said, I'm done. Appreciate you all for joining us tonight.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, boy.
All right,
bonsoir.
Peace.
Peace.